Counsel, I will have to sustain the objection, but on the ground that it is compounded, and if at all it is misleading because the 375 million was not given one time to Colonel Lachica.
I will break it down, Your Honor, please.
You totaled it for her.
Okay.
Kindly modify.
I will break it down. Para naman sa first quarter ng 2023, binigay mo rin 125 billion pesos in coal cash to Colonel Lachica. Tama po ba?
As in answered, Your Honor.
I'm breaking it down. Yes or no?
Witness may answer.
Girelease ko po kay security officer kasi siya po ang itinalaga ng aming Vice President, Your Honor, at siya ang nakakaalam paano i-implement ang mga confidential activities, Your Honor.
There you go again. Now, for the first quarter ng 2023, wala ka ring may pakitang any acknowledgement receipt, any document ngayon na magpapatunay na tinanggap ni Colonel Lachica yung 125 million pesos cash galing sa iyo for the first quarter of 2023. Tama po ba?
Nagpa-receive po ako,
As in
Your
answered, Your
Honor.
Your Honor, this is 2023. I'm breaking it down.
Counsel, let the witness answer.
Nagpa-receive po ako, Your Honor.
Ma'am, tanong, may dokumento kayo now na ipapakita in an impeachment trial sa harap ng ating mga senator judges, sa harap ng taong bayan na tinanggap nga ni Colonel Lachica yung 125 million pesos galing sa iyo.
Your Honor,
That's a very clear-
I would have to register a continuing objection to this line of questioning,
Napakasimpleng tanong po, Your Honor.
considering that it's already asked and answered.
Ngayon,
Counsel, you're on a short leash. I think the witness answered already from the questioning of the presiding officer himself. Although I know and understand it's for emphasis, but it can only go so far.
yes.
The witness is already answered. So, ma'am, wala po kayong dokumentong hawak dahil nga binawi ni Colonel Lachica. Tama po?
Binawi po niya, Your Honor, pero nakagawa na po ako ng liquidation, Your Honor. Nakasubmit na po kami sa COA, Your Honor. Every time po, meron kaming confidential, Your Honor.
Opo, ma'am.
Nakaliquidate po kami, Your Honor.
Apo, naunawaan ko po
Alright.
yun. Pero klaro lang po na binawi nga po niya, kaya wala po kayong kopya.
Yes, Your Honor.
At yan po yung kinagawian na nyo noong 2022 last quarter, first, second, at third quarter ng 2023.
Yes, Your Honor.
Apo, tama. Okay. Kaya wala po kayong hawak na kahit anong dokumento ngayon dahil na kay Colonel Lachica na at binawi po niya.
Ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ma'am, ito yung tanong daw. Ito yung tanong daw, ma'am. Hindi po ba kakaiba, unusual, na yung acknowledgement receipt babawiin ng taong pinagbigyan mo ng pera? You don't find it unusual?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Sustained. Sustained. Kindly
Yes, Honor.
reform counsel.
In Davao City, prior to 2022, hindi po ba, ma'am, same pa rin yung procedure na ginagawa nyo? Binibigay mo yung confidential funds sa isang security officer, and then sabi mo, may acknowledgement receipt, pero binabawi ng pinagbigyan mo yung acknowledgement receipt, kaya hindi mo hawak. Tama po ba sa Davao City? Practice nyo doon.
I will have to recall, Your Honor, kay matagal na po
Yes,
kasi
okay.
yun.
Ma'am, hindi po ba ito yung nagiging method of procedure? May Latin term po tayo dyan, ma'am, ha?
May.
Method of procedure, ito yung modus operandi nyo, ibibigay yung pera sa isang security officer, means method of procedure, nakagawian, practice, modus. Tama po ba?
Objection, Your Honor. It's misleading because there's no the witness testified that she does not remember.
Counsel, we both know modus has a secondary and double meaning. You can always use Is this the standard operating procedure that you followed when you were SDO in both Davao and under the OVP? Ito
Yes.
ito po ba yung kinagawian ninyong practice at proseso nung kayo po ay SDO ng Davao kaugnay ng confidential fund at nung kayo ay SDO ng OVP na yung pagbibigyan nyo, security officer o sino man, hindi funded, pipirma na acknowledgement receipt at pag nagbigay na siya ng fund liquidation report, fund utilization report at naka-liquidate na kayo sa COA, babawi na.
Opo, Your Honor.
Opo. Now, let me proceed. Cash disbursement record. You are aware ano yung konsepto ng cash disbursement record or CDR. Let's go to paragraphs 7.1. 7.2. Your Honor, I endeavor to finish this before 12. I promise, Your Honor. 7.1, 7.2, 7.3. Of course, as an SDO, alam mo ano yung konsepto ng cash disbursement record. Alam mo yung konseptong iyan. Di po ba?
Dali.
Attorney J, please assist. That is 7.1, 7.2, 7.3.
Assisting counsels of both parties may approach.
Meron na akong kopya, Your Honor.
Okay, now. What was the address? Sorry, ha? Okay, now. You were supposed to record each invoice, receipt, or voucher individually. Sa isang araw, kailangan nakatala sa CDR, okay, lahat ng perang lalabas sa opisina mo as SDO. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Meron po akong CTR.
Okay, let's go into that. Sinabi mo may CDR. Kaya ito yung tanong now. In that CDR, makikita ba dyan na binigay mo yung 125 million pesos kay Colonel Lachica on December 20, 2022?
Yes po, nakalagay po doon, Your Honor, release to security officer,
Okay.
Sir Lachica,
Can we have that?
125.
Do you have a copy?
Hindi ko dinala, Your
Hindi mo
Honor.
dinala. Okay. Good. Now, ma'am, hindi po ba? Ma'am, sinabi mo na yung mga acknowledgement receipt na sabi mo, through the questions of the good presiding officer, pinirmahan, allegedly, ni Colonel Lachica, binawi niya, di po ba? Ma'am, yung tanong, what about yung mga acknowledgement receipts ng mga thousands of recipients? Like Mary Grace Piatos, Andilim, binawi ba nila yung acknowledgement receipt? Yes or no?
I need to
Yun
clarify
pa,
the
yun ako.
question,
I
Your
will repeat
Honor.
the question. Sinabi mo, yung pruweba na binigay at saka tinanggap ni Colonel Lachica yung 125 million pesos, sinabi mo, yes, nagpumirma siya. Pero binawi niya pagkatapos ng liquidation report. Ito yung tanong now. What about yung mga acknowledgement receipts? Mary Grace Piatos, Andilim. Binawi ba nila yung acknowledgement receipts or you retain yung mga acknowledgement receipts na yun? You retain, tama po ba?
Yung mga acknowledgement na yon, Your Honor, galing po yun kay ISO officer. Oh. Tapos, Your Honor, yan po ay hiningi po ng COA. Kaya nasubmit na po lahat ang mga acknowledgement, Your Honor, na galing yung mga tao na naka-receive o yung pinaggastusan po ni Colonel Lachica doon sa ground po, Your Honor, habang gi-implement po ang confidential operation or activities, Your
Para
Honor.
ma-submit nyo sa COA. Yun yung sabi nyo, di ba?
Kailangan po yun, Your
Yun,
Honor.
ma'am. Kaya, Your Honor, with the court's indulgence, I will ask this question again. Yung binawi ni Colonel Lachica, yung acknowledgement receipt, hindi nyo po ba naisip na teka muna, Colonel Lachica, wait, I'm not done, counsel. Teka muna, kailangan ko i-submit sa COA So, of course, I will not give this to you, Colonel La Chica. Kasi nga, ano yung pruweba ko na tinanggap mo yung pera galing sa akin? Hindi mo ba naisip yan, Gina Acosta?
Objection,
Yeah.
Your Honor. Argumentative, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is premised on her answer a while ago that she said because they had to submit that to COA, the acknowledgement. That's why I'm asking this question again.
Argumentative misleading, Your Honor.
I think you've established your point,
Yes,
counsel,
Your Honor.
both to the
Move
senator,
on.
judges, and to the public. It is argumentative.
I will
move on to your next point, counsel.
Much obliged, hindi po ba obligasyon mo bilang SDO na busisihin yung mga acknowledgement receipts na sinasabi nyo na magpapatunay na tinanggap ng mga recipients yung pera ng taong bayan. Trabaho mo as SDO na busisihin yung mga acknowledgement receipts, hindi po ba?
Trabaho ko po, Your Honor, pero sa dami-dami po na acknowledgement receipt, hindi ko po maalala lahat, Your
Yun.
Honor, yung mga ibang detalles kagaya ng mga names, Your Honor. Kasi
And I will help you remember, ma'am. Don't worry. Now, I'm showing you now an itemized confidential expenditures as stated sa accomplishment report nyo for the period December 21 to 31, 2022. Okay, show. Para po matulungan natin si Gina Acosta maalala yung nangyari in 2022, 4 na taon nakalipas. Show this on screen, please. Surveillance and monitoring. That one. The total amount, okay, while it's being shown, the process being shown, you will confirm that for an 11-day duration, December 21 to 31, 2022, yung Office of the Vice President nagbayad ng kabuuhang 16 million pesos. Nakasulat sa accomplishment report ninyo, rental of other incidental expenses relative to the maintenance of safe houses. 16 million pesos rental from December 21 to 31. 11 days. Confirm, Madam Acosta. Now this time, naaalala nyo na po ba? Andyan po, rental of other incidental expenses, letter C, 16 million pesos.
excuse me, Your Honor,
Okay.
ang binigay po sa akin na utilization po, hindi po kagaya doon, Your Honor.
Okay, sige. Anyways, you look at the document. Accomplishment report. You show it. It's there.
Kasi po, ang sa screen po, nakalagay po, Your Honor, is 132. At ang ditong
Wala ma'am, wala. Ma'am, klaro po ma'am, oh, December 21 to 31. And then, rental, ayan, oh, 16 million pesos. Oh. Yes ma'am, yes ma'am. We'll show it to you. Yes,
For the record, witness
Nadel.
gave the thumbs up sign, which means
Okay.
yes in the affirmative. Tama, ma'am?
16 million. Sorry po, Your Honor.
Same na po ang aking kopya sa screen po, Your Honor.
16 million pesos from December 21 to 31, 2022, 11 days. Tanong, hindi niyo po ba masasabi ito ay unconscionable, kasuklam-suklam, or extravagant, or labis-labis?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Wait. Not done. Nasa circular, trabaho ng COA tingnan kung unconscionable ba or extravagant yung expenses. That's why I'm asking this witness now.
The witness is not from COA, Your Honor.
I'm not... The witness...
Is that, are you done, Attorney Ligon?
Not yet, Your Honor. In fact, I'm not done with the question, Your Honor. Hindi po ba kasuklam-suklam, labis-labis in English, unconscionable and extravagant, as mentioned in the circular, for the Office of the Vice President to spend 16 million pesos in 11 days or a total of 1.4 million pesos. Hindi nga per month eh. Per day.
Now, counsel, Attorney Linden, what
Same
is your
objection,
objection?
Your Honor, with the addition that it's also compound, Your Honor.
What was the first objection, counsel?
It's argumentative, Your Honor.
I will have to overrule it, counsel. Kindly answer the question, ma'am, just with one variation. Unconscionable is not kasuklam-suklam. Mahirap tanggapin, mahirap makonsensya, pero hindi naman kasuklam-suklam ang unconscionable, counsel. With that clarification, witness may answer? Hindi ba niyo nakita?
Sorry po, Your Honor, Hana. I was confused.
Hindi ba kayo nahirapang tanggapin na ganun kalaki yung gastusin para sa December 21 to 31 lamang na pagrenta ng mga safe house? Hindi po ba para sa inyo? Katanggap-tanggap po ba yon o hindi?
Ako po, Your Honor, nag-rely po ako sa mga dokumento na binigay sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor, kasi siya po ang nag-implement doon sa ground, Your Honor. Wala po ako doon, Your Honor, kasi
So-
wala po akong access sa mga security, Your Honor. Kaya nag-rely po ako sa security officer namin na Sir La Chica, Your
So
Honor.
pag nagsabi nag-rely, inasahan nyo lamang po yung binigay sa inyong fund utilization, kaugnay at kabilang na yung renta na ganyan ang amount. Apo. Umasa
Your
lang kayo
Honor.
sa binigay sa inyong report na 16 million yung renta ng iba't ibang safe house sa loob ng 21 to 31 December.
Yes, Your Honor, nag-rely po ako sa aming security officer, Your Honor, kasi siya po ang nag-implement, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let me proceed.
Proceed, counsel.
Let's take a look at the same list from the accomplishment report. For the period December 21 to 31, the amount for the purchase of supplies, provision of medical food aid. Okay? If we sum that up, it totals a whopping 75 million pesos para sa supplies, provision of medical and food aid. 75 million pesos. Tanong, ikaw ba ay in possession ng isang single official receipt na magpapatunay na talagang ginamit yung 75 million pesos para sa pagbili ng supplies, medical and food aid? Do you have a single ni isang official receipt? Yes or no?
Your Honor, nag-rely po ako kung anong mga dokumento ang binigay sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor.
There you go again. The question is so simple. Do you or do you not have a single official receipt to prove na ginamit yung 75 million pesos na pera ng taong bayan sa pagbili ng supplies, medical, and food aid?
As an answer, Your Honor.
Ma'am Gina, yung binigay sa inyong dokumento ng security officer para i-liquidate itong pinambili ng medical at saka food supplies, may kabilang po bang resibo doon o wala? Official receipt o wala po?
Acknowledgement receipt lang po, Your Honor. Kasi po sa...
So wala pong official receipt. Yun lang po yung tanong ni Atty. Ligudan. So wala pong binigay na official receipt yung security officer sa inyo kaugnay sa kabuang halagang ito ng 75 million sa purchase of supplies, medical and food aid.
Acknowledgement receipt po, Your Honor.
Alright.
So wala pong OR. Alam niyo naman po ma'am ibig sabihin ng OR, di ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
So wala pong official receipt.
Wala po, Your
Wala
Honor.
po. Okay, Atty. Ligudan.
So, ito yung tanong now. Ba't hindi kayo naghanap? Galing kay Colonel La Chica. Hindi niyo ba naisip, ma'am, Colonel La Chica, kahit ba yung pagbili ng gamot, yung pagbili, is this an advertisement, Biogesic, paracetamol, ba't hindi tayo mag-produce ng official receipt. Ano po yung napaka-confidential kung saan pinili? Biogesic, paracetamol. Ano yung confidential? Hindi mo ba naisip tanungin kay Colonel Lachica yan?
Objection, Your Honor. Compound and argumentative, Your Honor.
I'll allow it for now, Counsel. Kindly answer, Ms. Gina. Hindi niyo ba naisip humingi ng OR?
Your Honor, as I browse or as I verify po ng mga acknowledgement receipt na binigay sa akin ni SO Officer Colonel Lachica, naitanong ko po siya kasi may napansin po ako na ang iba walang date, walang name, may perma. Ang sagot naman sa akin ni SO Officer, Ma'am Gina, kung ano man ang binigay ko sa iyo na mga dokumento, yun na yun. Kasi ang mga transaction o ang operation door is very sensitive information. Sensitive information po, Ma'am Gina. At saka confidential po ito. Kaya kung ano ang binigay ko sa iyo na mga acknowledgement receipt, yun po, yun.
Yun na yun.
Okay.
With the indulgence of counsel, matapos kayong makatanggap ng AOM galing sa COA ICFAO na naghahanap ng resibo, hindi nyo hiningan pa rin si Colonel Lachica ng resibo? Hindi po ba yun ang nilalaman ng isa sa mga AOM na kailangan yung purchase of food and medical supplies may resibo? So ano pong ginawa nyo nun?
Nag-reply po ang office yun, Your Honor, pero hindi ko po masyado i-relate kung ano yung exact reply namin for that, Your Honor.
Nag-reply po pero bugso dahil sa kadahilanan, sa rason ng AOM, hindi po kayo nang hingi pa rin ng OR kay Colonel Lachica sa security officer. Sumagot na lang po yung opisina.
Sumagot po ang opisina, Your Honor. Tsaka, Your Honor, ang sabi po, kasi po, yung transaction na po, Your Honor, is confidential po, Your Honor.
Kaya nga sapat na sa inyo yung sagot ni Colonel Lachica nung sinabi niyang yun na yun, confidential yan, tinanggap niyo po yun.
Opo, Your Honor.
Okay. Let
Tayo
me
likodan.
proceed. Ma'am, ano yung sinasabi ni Colonel Lachica? Yun na yun, hindi mo, you don't second guess yung ano yung binibigay na information sa'yo. Ito yung tanong now. Hindi po ba obligasyon mo as the SDO na alamin at protektahan ang bawat sentimo ng pera ng taong bayan? Manifestation, when asked that question, the witness uminom po ng tubig. Put
Para
that
may
into
pause.
record.
Your Honor, nag-verify po ako kay Security Officer Colonel Lachica, Your Honor. Yun po ang pamamaraan ko. Yun po ang way ko na para malaman ko kung yun po ang pinaggastahan ni Colonel Lachica, Your Honor. Kasi siya po ang may alam. Siya po ang nag-implement sa mga project po sa confidential operation or activities, Your Honor.
Same canned answer. Your Honor, please. Manifestation. Now, let's go to 4.15 of the Joint Circular 2015-01. Sinasabi dito, show that to on the screen, please. 4.15 Joint Circular. Sinasabi dito na the disbursement of confidential funds must be supported by a certification of the accountable officer. Alala niyo po ba? Di po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Of course, you will confirm na ikaw nag-certify for all the disbursements ng OVP confidential funds last quarter ng 2022 tsaka 3 quarters ng 2023, first 3 quarters, to aid you, I'm showing you a certification of the Office of the Vice President, notarized January 16, 2023, marked as Exhibit P-I-6-small letter A. Show that certification, please. The name Gina F. Acosta appears on this document as the Special Disbursing Officer, and the signature appears over this name. This is your signature, correct?
Yes, pirma ko po ito, Your Honor.
Yes. Certification, this time notarized on March 30, 2023, marked as Exhibit P-I-6, small letter B. The name Gina F. Acosta appears on this document as SDO. May perma sa ibabaw ng pangalan na yan. Perma mo yan, di po ba? Okay.
Assisting counsel may approach.
Yes, so. Is another document po, ma'am. Pangalawang certification.
Okay.
Okay, perma mo yan, di po ba?
Opo.
Now, showing you another certification, notarized this time, July 11, 2023, marked as Exhibit P-I-6C. May pangalang Gina F. Acosta. May perma sa ibabaw ng pangalang yan. Perma mo yan, di po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
This time, another certification dated, notarized rather, October 9, 2023. Exhibit P-I-6D. May pangalang Gina F. Acosta. May perma sa ibabaw ng pangalang iyan. Perma mo iyan, di po ba?
Pirma ko po ito, Your
Now,
Honor.
of course, sa mga certifications na ito, nakasulat dyan sa letter B, the expenses were incurred in connection with the agency's intelligence and or confidential operations and activities. Sa letter B, yun yung sinertify mo, di po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Sa letter F naman, nakacertify dyan that the expenditures are necessary and utilized for legal purposes. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, eto na yung tanong, ma'am. Kung nag-certify ka under oath na legal yung paggamit, yung personal mong basihan sa pag-certify na tama yung pinaggamitan ng pera ng taong bayan, yung basihan mo hindi personal sa nakita, narinig, naramdaman, kung hindi ano lang yung isinumite sa iyo ni Colonel Chica, hindi po ba?
Opo.
Yun. But based on the certification, sinasabi mo, hindi na misappropriate yung confidential funds, di po ba?
Kasi lahat po
Okay,
yung...
ma'am, yes or no po? Yes or no? Sinasabi niyo certification, hindi na misappropriate ng Office of the Vice President yung confidential funds.
Opo.
Okay? And since you are the SDO, alam mo lahat ng records sa mga disbursement. Di po ba?
Galing po kay Sir La Chica lahat, Your Honor.
Iba na sa SDO now. As an SDO, alam mo rin saan, paano, at kanino dinisburse ang confidential funds. Tama po ba?
Based po sa mga document na binigay sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor.
Alright. There you go again. Now, let's go to an acknowledgement receipt. PI 81382. 1P181382. Sinasabi dyan ng isang Antonio Pagong. Receipt 100,000 pesos for the payment of purchase of information. Antonio Pagong. Ito yung tanong now. Do you have personal knowledge? Sa Tagalog, nakita mo ba si Colonel La Chica na nagbigay ng 100,000 pesos in confidential funds sa isang Antonio Pagong? Yes or no? Nakita mo ba si Colonel La Chica nagbigay ng perang iyan, 100,000 pesos to Antonio Pagong? Nakita mo ba siya o hindi?
Hindi ko siya nakita, Your
Okay.
Honor, kasi wala po ako doon sa ground. Siya po ang nag-implement, Your Honor.
Good. Let's go to P181620. Timon Andrew Pusa. Timon Andrew Pusa. Nakatanggap ng 100,000 pesos rental of transport vehicle. Same sagot ba? Hindi nyo nakita si Colonel Lachica nagbigay ng pera, hindi po 1,000, 100,000 pesos sa isang Timon Andrew Pusa. Hindi po ba?
Hindi ko po, kasi wala ako doon, Your Honor.
kayo doon.
I-disburse ko lang sa kanya ang pera. Siya po ang nag-implement.
Crystal clear. Let's go to PI 8-1069. PI 8-1069. This time, isang Don Piang received 250,000 pesos for the payment of rental transports. Hindi nyo rin nakita si Lachica na nagbigay ng 250,000 pesos sa isang Don Piang. Kasi wala ka doon. Di po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Yes. Let's go to P182229. Kung may andilim, not to be outdone, meron din Shane Ngit-Ngit. Translation, Ngit-Ngit, Bisaya for madilim. Nakita nyo ba si Lachica na nagbigay ng 150,000 pesos sa isang Shane Ngit-Ngit o hindi mo rin nakita? Di po ba?
Hindi ko nakita, Your Honor, kasi wala po ako doon sa ground. Si Colonel Lachica po, na security officer, siya po ang nag-implement, Your Honor.
Hindi ko nakita kasi wala ako sa ground. Good. Now, last. May isang acknowledgement receipt. P18612. I should be careful. Binigay sa isang Suniso Belat. Suniso Belat. Tanong, nakita mo ba si Colonel Lachica na nagbigay ng 100,000 in confidential funds sa isang Suniso Belat?
Hindi ko po nakita, Your Honor, kasi wala po ako sa ground. Siya po ang security officer namin, Your Honor, at siya po ang nag-implement ng mga confidential operation,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Therefore, Madam, sino po, kung meron man, ang nag-verify na totoo, sakto, legal, lahat ng ginawa ni Colonel Lachica?
Nag-verify po ako sa kanya, Your Honor. Tinanong ko po siya, Your Honor. Tapos yun ang sagot niya, Your Honor. Ma'am Gina, yung mga dokumento na binigay ko sa iyo, yan po ang mga resibo na magpapatunay, Your Honor, na nagamit po ang pera ng confidential fund. At saka, Ma'am Gina, wala po kayo. Those are sensitive matters, sensitive operation po, Ma'am Gina. Confidential po yun.
Okay, let me continue. So therefore, Madam Witness, in verifying kung tama yung sinasabi ni Colonel Lachica, sa pagbe-verify na yan, sa dinami-dami ng tao sa buong mundo, yung tinanong mo pa rin to verify is the same person, Colonel Lachica. Tama po ba? Hindi mo rin mga nalibog na putka. Now, sinabi mo, you all rely on Colonel Lachica. Hindi mo alam kung hindi mo nakita na binigay ni Colonel Lachica yung pera sa mga recipients. Tama po ba?
Opo.
Wala ring official receipts. Hindi po ba?
Opo.
So aside sa sinasabi ni Colonel Lachica sa iyo, hindi mo mapapatunayan. Ma'am, careful ha. I'm being careful with this question because this is really important. Aside po sa sinasabi ni Colonel Lachica sa iyo, hindi mo ngayon malalaman kung totoo ba na binigay ni Colonel Lachica yung pera, for example, kay Suniso Belat. Hindi po ba?
Action answered, Your
Your
Honor.
Honor, these are really important questions.
Witness will answer.
Na-interrupt ako.
Yes po, ma'am?
Ulitin, na-interrupt po ako, Your Honor. Sorry.
I will. Sinabi mo, hindi mo nakita si Colonel Lachica na nagbigay ng pera sa mga recipients. Okay? Sinabi mo rin na yung pag-verify mo is true Colonel Lachica himself. Ito yung tanong now. Aside sa sinabi ni Colonel Lachica sa iyo, hindi mo mabe-verify, hindi mo malalaman kung totoo ba binigay ni Colonel Lachica yung pera sa sinasabi niyang recipients. Di po ba?
Nag-verify po ako kay Colonel Lachica, Your Honor. Nag-rely po ako sa kanya, Your Honor. Kasi siya po ang nag-implement ng mga confidential activities, Your Honor.
Manifestation, another can't answer to a separate question. I will move on, Your Honor.
Motion
Therefore,
to strike, Your Honor, impertinent.
that's a manifestation that's allowed, Your Honor.
Impertinent, Your Honor.
Let it stay in the record, counsel.
Okay, now, so madam, hindi mo rin malalaman na binigay pala ni Colonel Lachica yung confidential funds sa mga kaibigan at kaalyado ng Vice President. Di po ba? Hindi mo rin malalaman yan. Di po ba? Yes or no? Nag-rely ka lang kay Colonel Lachica.
Nag-rely po ako kay Colonel Lachica at saka sa mga dokumento po, Your Honor, na binigay niya sa akin.
Okay, next question. Hindi mo rin malalaman, ma'am, na in fact, binigay ni Colonel Lachica yung $500 million pesos sa Vice President herself. Hindi mo rin malalaman yan.
Misleading, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
No basis, counsel.
Okay.
No basis, counsel. Kindly reform.
Okay. Hindi mo rin malalaman, ma'am, na yung 125 million pesos na gamit, not in 11 days, but in just 24 hours. Hindi mo rin malalaman yan.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Counsel, I'll allow you to proceed with on a short leash on this line of questioning.
That's the last point order for this.
Ma'am Gina, simple po yung tanong. Dahil inasahan nyo lang po yung binigay sa inyong dokumento at sinabi ni Colonel Lachica, kung totoo man o hindi, yung sinabi niya sa inyo at dokumento niya binigay, wala po kayong personal na kaalaman dahil hindi niyo po nakitang ginawa niya talaga yon. Tama po?
Tama po, kasi siya po ang nag-implement. Siya po ang nasa ground. Siya po ang nag-implement ng mga activities regarding confidential, Your Honor.
So,
At
lahat-
siya po ang itinalaga. Meron po siyang order, Your Honor, as security officer, Your Honor. Siya po ang may access, Your Honor, when it comes to security, Your Honor. Siya ang nai-training. Siya ang expert, Your Honor. Ako, nag-disburse lang ako sa iya, Your Honor.
So, kung totoo man nga po o hindi, kung tama man o mali, inasahan nyo lamang yung mga binigay sa inyong dokumento ni Colonel Lachica dahil siya yung authorized, siya yung sinabihan na gumawa gawin yan, at siya yung may training.
Opo, Your Honor.
Wala kang personal knowledge na binigay nga dun sa mga taong yun yung pera o ginastos talaga para sa supplies. Wala po. Hindi po kayo gumawa.
Wala, Your Honor, ka wala po dito.
Okay.
Last stretch of my questions. Madam Witness, last stretch. 6.2.3.1 of the joint circular, repeat, 6.2.3.1, sinasabi ng joint circular na ikaw ay required to submit a liquidation report. Tama po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
In fact, nag-submit ka ng liquidation report dated January 10, 2023. Okay? For the Office of the Vice President sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Hindi po ba?
Opo, Your Honor. Excuse
And-
me, Your Honor.
Oh,
Pwede
yeah,
mga
yeah,
yung
ma'am.
kopya.
Yes, ma'am. We will do that.
Salamat po. Okay po, Your Honor.
Now, so sinicertify mo na lahat ng mga data nasa reports are correct, di po ba?
Sinicertify ko po kung ano ang nakalagay dito sa liquidation report na ito.
Now, opo ma'am, I'm showing you now liquidation reports for the first, second, third quarters ng 2022. May same certification, di po ba? Sa naging liquidation report nyo sa 2022, ano yung mga nakasaad dyan, di po ba? Same ano yung sinecertify nyo sa liquidation report, di po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
In fact, yung pangalang Sara Z. Duterte as Vice President, makikita natin sa liquidation reports for the fourth quarter of 2022, at diretso na, first, second, third quarter ng 2023. Tsaka may pirma sa pangalang Sara Z. Duterte sa mga dokumentong iyan. Yung mga pirmang ito, mga pirma ng ating Vice President, hindi po ba?
Pirma po niya ito, Your Honor.
So sinasabi nyo na yung Vice President din nag-certify sa lahat ng liquidation reports pinakita sa iyo, in total, half a billion pesos, 500 billion pesos, sinasabi din ng Vice President na tama yung pinagamitan ng confidential funds, hindi po ba?
Ang sinertify po niya dito, Your Honor, is purpose of cash advance duly accomplished.
Yes. Now, I will repeat this question. So kung nakapag-certify kayo na duly accomplished yung purposes ng cash advance, yung certification, base lang yan sa ano yung sinabi ni Colonel Lachica sa inyo, hindi po ba?
Base po ito sa mga documents po na binigay sa akin ni Security Officer Colonel Lachica, Your Honor.
Okay, so now, hindi mo sinasabi, yun yung sinabi ni Colonel Lachica, but this time, sinasabi mo, this time around, base naman sa mga dokumentong binigay sa iyo ni Colonel Lachica, hindi po ba?
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
I'll allow the witness to answer. I'm sorry, counsel.
Hindi po ba? Hindi po ba?
Ano po yun?
Okay,
Sorry
ito na lang,
po,
ito na lang.
Sorry.
Nakapag-certify ka, this time defense, I'm asking about the liquidation report, Nakapag-certify ka sa liquidation reports na tama yung pinagamitan, kahit hindi mo nakita personal paano ginamit ni Colonel Lachica yung pera, hindi po ba?
Misleading, Your Honor. The liquidation report contains a different statement, Your Honor. It's box A, certified correctness of the above data, Your Honor. So the factual premise of the question is incorrect, Your Honor.
Sa liquidation report yun.
Let me counsel. Ma'am Gina, nung sinabi niyo pong certified correct yung nakapaloob sa liquidation report, ang pinagbasehan niyo pa rin ay yung impormasyong binigay sa inyo ni Colonel Lachica at hindi po personal niyong kaalaman na doon nga nagastos yung pera.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, ang gisertify ko dito sa liquidation report, Your Honor, is the correctness of the above data, Your Honor. Ito lang pong period covered na tama, Your Honor. Ito pong particulars na tama, Your Honor. Entity, Your Honor, tama po, Your Honor. Ang amount, tama po, Your Honor. Kani po ang ako ang bot ipasabot, mag-certify na ko ang above data, kana po nga data, Your
At
Honor.
nakalagay po nga sa datang yan kung paano ginastos yung confidential fund. Liquidation report nga po eh. Di po ba?
Above data po kasi, Your Honor.
Kaya nga po, nakalagay po sa above data. Can you can you scroll up please?
Scroll up, please. Those documents.
Can you zoom in on the particulars? Yan po, yung liquidation nga po, sinertify nyo na yung liquidation ay tama.
Opo, Your Honor.
At ang basehan ng liquidation, yung mga dokumentong binigay ng security officer na si Colonel Lachica.
Opo, Your Honor.
Hindi po yung personal ninyong kaalaman na dun nga nagastos yun, kundi base sa kanyang binigay sa inyong impormasyon at mga dokumento.
Opo, Your Honor, kasi wala po ako doon. Siya po ang nag-implement, Your Honor. Nag-disperse lang po ako ng pera sa kanya, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let me
Counsel,
continue,
you might
Your
think
Honor.
of other questions already because I think the witness said that about 20 times already.
Yes,
This
sir.
was not there.
We'll go to this time, Your Honor, hindi na liquidation report. Last points, accomplishment report naman. Or let's not belabor the point, ma'am. I'll go directly to the point. Accomplishment report for 2022, 3 quarters. Sinasabi nyo na tama yung pinagamitan ng pera ng taong bayan, 500 million pesos, kalahating bilyon pera ng taong bayan. Sinertify nyo na tama yung pinagamitan kahit wala kayong personal na alam kung totoo bang tama yung pinagamitan ni Colonel Lachica, kasi nga nag-rely lang kayo sa sinabi ni Colonel Lachica sa inyo, hindi po ba?
Nag-rely
Misleading,
po
Your
ako.
Honor. The witness testified that she relied on the statements and the documents, not merely the.
That is my question, Your Honor. If she relied on
That was the question, Counsel. If she relied on the documents given and statements made by Colonel Lachica, which you said several times, na confidential yon, di ba? You may repeat it again, Ma'am Gina. Your answer.
Nag-rely po ako, nakagawa po ako ng utilization report based po sa pagpangutana, pag-verify ko kay Security Officer Lachica na Ma'am Gina, sensitive information na o confidential information o mga dokumento nga gihatag nga gikan kay Security Officer Colonel Lachica ani sa ako.
Ma'am, curious lang ako. May sinabi po ba siyang confidential to, yan lang ang pwedeng bigay ko sa'yo, wala na akong pwedeng bigay sa'yo iba? May ganun po ba?
Ang sinabi po niya, Your Honor, those transaction po or those operation po are sensitive and confidential in nature, Your Honor.
Kaya wala na po siyang bibigay na iba pang dokumento maliban dyan.
O, yung mga dokumento na binigay niya sa akin, Your Honor,
Yun lang yun, hanggang doon lang.
hanggang doon lang po, Your Honor.
Okay.
Five questions. Hindi ba
You promised before lunch, Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, 5 questions. Hindi po ba, Madam Witness, pinalabas nyo na kayo mismo ang naghanda ng physical and financial plans para sa confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President for 2022 tsaka 2023. Gayon ang totoo. Si Colonel Lachica lamang pala ang nagsabi kung anong dapat isulat sa mga planong iyan sa plan.
Sorry, Your Honor, I confused with your question, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I will not repeat the question. I move on to the next.
I think that's already on the record, Counsel.
Yes.
Ma'am Gina, sinagot niyo na po dati yan.
Opo.
Na yung physical and financial plan na hinanda niyo, kumuha kayo ng input kay Colonel Lachica. Hindi po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Hindi po ba sa mga liquidation report, accomplishment report, pinapalabas nyo na tama yung pinagamitan ng confidential funds, pero yung totoo, wala kayong personal na kaalaman kung sino ang mga tunay na tumingap ng pera, hindi po ba?
Misleading, Your Honor.
I think the
I
record
think
is obvious.
he's just about to be done, Counsel. Let's let him summarize his
Yeah.
points.
Hindi po ba? Hindi po ba, Madam Witness? Wala kayong personal na alam na tama yung pinagamitan ni Colonel Lachica despite the report, certification, kasi nga sabi niyo, nag-rely lang kayo kay Colonel Lachica, this time you added sa mga dokumento, hindi po ba?
As
Yes or no?
answered, Your Honor.
I think as an answer. Last 2 questions, Your Honor.
Again, for emphasis, I think the witness will confirm that. Tama po, Ma'am Gina?
Nag-rely po ako sa sinabi ni Colonel Lachica at sa mga document na binigay niya sa akin, Your Honor, after po na-implement po niya sa ground ang mga confidential activities po, Your Honor.
At wala po kayo sa ground.
Yes po, wala po ako doon, Your Honor.
Hindi po ba dahil sa mga pinaggagawa niyo sa Office of the Vice President, nawalan ng paraan ang taong bayan na pagtumain pagtugmain. I repeat, hindi ba dahil sa pinagagawa nyo na walan ng paraan ang taong bayan nagpagtugmain, on one hand, ang paper trail,
I cannot
or
understand.
ma'am, or makadokumento, at the same, on the other hand, ang totoong money trail. Wala na pong paraan ng taong bayan na pagtugmain yung paper trail tsaka money trail. Hindi po ba? Yes or no?
Argumentative and speculative, Your Honor.
If you know, Ma'am Gina, kung alam niyo po, sabihin niyo po, alam niyo. Kung hindi niyo alam, sabihin niyo rin pong hindi niyo alam.
I will repeat the question if you may, Your Honor.
I think she understood the question, but
Mas-
difficult to answer on her part, counsel, but I don't want to put words in the mouth of
Yes,
the
Your
witness.
Malalim po ang Tagalog ni Attorney Lagutan po.
Ma'am, it's ligutan. Okay na.
Ay, sorry po. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It's okay po.
I'm sorry po.
It's okay, ma'am.
Sorry
Okay.
po. Sorry po.
It's okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I will repeat the question. Kasi nga, sinasabi nyo, wala namang kayong kinalaman sa paano ginamit ni Colonel La Chica yung pera, pero sinecertify nyo na tama yung pinagamitan ng pera. So di po ba, yung taong bayan nawalan ng pamamaraan na pagtugmain, i-match yung mga dokumento, paper trail tawag natin dyan on one hand, tsaka yung actual na paggamit ng pera or money trail. Napakaklaro na po. Nawalan po ang taong bayan ng pamamaraan at pagtugmain yung dalawang bagay na yan. Yes or no?
Speculative, Your
Wala
Honor.
po.
It's not.
Wala nawalan ang, ano yun?
Hindi nawalan.
Hindi nawalan, Your Honor,
Okay.
kasi pwede po nila tanungin ang aming security officer na siya po ang nagpapatupad ng mga...
Okay, now, last question.
Darating po tayo dun, ma'am. I assure you. I hope we will arrive to that point.
Ma'am,
Po.
hindi ba ito isang scam or tahasang panlililang sa
Argumentative,
pera ng
Your
taong
Honor.
bayan?
Argumentative. Your Honor.
Counsel, it's not only argumentative, but kindly use appropriate language as well inside this court.
Your Honor, may we move to strike that last question, Your Honor, for being impertinent, Your Honor.
It's very much pertinent.
I tend to agree with counsel for the respondent. The word scam is stricken from the record. It did not come from the witness's mouth. Kindly reform a bit, counsel. I think I know where you're getting at too. And you've
That
said
would
it
be all
anyway.
for the prosecution, for this witness, Your Honor.
Do you want to start with your cross, counsel, or do you want to start your cross after lunch?
Can we do it after lunch, Your Honor?
Yes, we certainly can, but we shall... 45 minutes? We shall, since it's only 11:45, we shall break for lunch and shall resume at 12:30. I hope 45 minutes would be enough with the senator judges. Ma'am Gina, lunch break po muna tayo. Makakababa
Opo,
po kayo
sir.
sa witness stand. Huwag po kayong kakain dyan, ha? Kumain po kayo sa lamesa. ng
Salamat po,
komportable.
sir. Salamat po, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are on recess and we shall resume at 12:30 in the afternoon.
All right, the Senate impeachment trial, they're resuming after last week's series of cancellations due to bad weather. Now today, Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta still testified about what she knows about how the confidential funds were managed and eventually used and liquidated. Acosta there verifying and confirming that in fact the funds were released to Colonel La Chica, who is not an accountable officer. Now, these disbursements also did not have acknowledgement receipts. These transfers were only signed based on the list of activities submitted by Colonel La Chica. Acosta claims that La Chica's documents are supported by liquidation documents and thus was enough for the Office of the Vice President, given the nature of these expenditures. These are, in fact, confidential funds. Acosta also saying she has no personal knowledge kung tama ba yung pinagamitan ng mga confidential funds, as well as the documents that support these. Now, the Senate impeachment trial is currently taking a break. Magandang araw. Ako po si Stanley Palisada. Ito ang ABS-CBN News Special Coverage. ng the Vice President on trial. At kasama naman natin dito sa studio ang ating resident legal analyst na si UP College of Law Associate Dean, Attorney Paolo Tamase. Attorney Tamase, again, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for joining us again today. What were the salient points for this leg or this series of the hearing?
So, last week, no, we already saw, nakita naman natin how Gina Acosta's testimony was critical to showing the Vice President's direction in how the funds were being disbursed and the manner which I think was violative of the COA circular, subject to how the defense will cross-examine. But in today's presentation, a few points that came up include, first of all, Gina Acosta's way of handling the fund seems to be consistent with how yung Davao spending was also done. May attempts several times to get that on record, the testimony on record about how she disbursed funds.
You're talking about the procedures, no? Kung paano
Yes,
siya ginagawa.
sa procedures, the SOPs that they have. Lumabas din doon yung fact that she often would rely on Colonel Achica's representations, that some of the fund transfers of really considerable amounts weren't really backed up by documents. And I think the prosecution really did try to bring it back to the Vice President's responsibility. How this may have been failure on the part of not just good office management, na hindi lang yung pagpapatakbo ng opisina niya, pero parang hindi responsable yung paghawak doon sa public funds mismo.
And I was wondering how Acosta's testimony contributed to that, the oversight of the Office of the Vice President. Kung paano nga ito dapat ginagawa.
Well, considering...
Kasi pabalik-balik siya dun eh.
Yes.
Inutusan lang ako, parang, that's always been the way things were done.
Well, on the one hand, it certainly looks na parang hands-off, not very close yung management ni Vice President when it comes to the moving around of the funds. But hindi ibig sabihin nun na hindi yun corruption. It also doesn't mean na hindi siya betrayal of public trust, which are two of the grounds concerned in Article 1. It might show at best gross negligence on the part of the Vice President under the prevailing COA circulars, the DBM COA circular. Personal yung responsibility of the Vice President dapat as head of agency when it comes to these funds, and therefore parang the lack of care and attention to how they are being disbursed is problematic, shows perhaps na pabaya when it comes to the holding the public funds. But if you notice, the prosecution was also attempting at certain points to sort of show na the undocumented character of yung transfer from Gina Acosta, the SDO, to Colonel Achica doesn't actually mean na natanggap talaga siya ni Colonel Achica. So, the suggestion, I think, of the prosecution is that nawawala na lang, the paper trail suddenly stops with the SDO, and we actually don't know where the funds are, kung kanino sila napunta, and kung ano yung ultimately nagawa out of those funds.
How big a loophole is that design? That by design itself, ganun lang daw yung ginagawa niya. There was a list of activities, tapos meron lang received by, without even the words, I, Colonel Achica, received such and such amount intended for such and such purpose. Ito, wala eh. Parang hindi ko nga maintindihan kung stamp lang yon with Colonel Achica's signature,
Yes.
yung received na stamp. No? So how big a loophole is that now?
It's pretty big. It might highlight a few things. No? The first is, lumabas naman in the earlier presentation of the COA auditors that the way that the documents were prepared seems to be reading between the lines. Parang hindi niyo alam if actual talaga yung receipts na yun, that they were actually prepared because somebody received the funds, or ginawa siya because they were already under audit. So one of the things we heard today was that yung acknowledgement receipts nang galing kay Colonel Achica.
Yeah.
So it seems like he was the one in charge of collating those acknowledgement receipts. But previous testimony of the prosecution showed that there were consistent mistakes, that they're clustered around the dates, that the dates were too close to each other to include various points of the Philippines. All of this shows na pag pinagdugtong-dugtong yan, hindi tayo sure doon sa reliability ng documents. So the reliable paper trail stops with the SDO, which also means that if spurious yung proof or acknowledgement receipts about how the money was spent, the prosecution is now trying to show, I think, based on the presentation, na we really can't trust na napunta nga talaga tong funds na to, not only to Colonel Chica, but the declared end users. Yeah. So, tali-tali na siya, parang magbabangga na yung various aspects, that the names were ridiculous, potentially spurious, but we haven't seen testimony yet on that the acknowledgement receipts were prepared suspiciously, that the receipts were actually prepared by Colonel Chica himself and then binigay na lang kay Gina Acosta, and then Gina Acosta seems to have disbursed the amount to Colonel Chica without really carefully examining na ang laki-laki nitong amount na ito, mapupunta ba talaga yan to the proper end user. So all of that shows one of two things. One is gross negligence in the management of the Vice President's office, or potentially, because the paper trail is so unreliable, that yung funds really went to misappropriation.
Okay, puntahan natin itong Gina Acosta later and seemingly over-reliance on what Colonel Chica is saying to just proceed with the process without questioning it. Meantime, puntahan muna natin ngayon si Victoria Tulad. Nasa Senado siya para sa recap ng testimony ng dating OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta. Magandang hapon o magandang umaga pa rin, Victoria.
Hi Stanley, muling ang humarap sa impeachment court ang dating Special Disbursing Officer ng Office of the Vice President o OVP na si Gina Acosta. Unang tanong sa kanya ni Attorney Amando Ligutan ng Counsel for the Panel of Prosecutors, paano nalaman ni Acosta na kasya sa 4 na traveling bags ang 125 million pesos na confidential fund na kanyang winidraw? Sabi ni Acosta, tinansya lang niya ito. Tanong ni Ligutan, hindi ba niya ito alam dahil dati na siyang nag-withdraw ng confidential fund para sa Davao City noong mayor pa ng syudad si Vice President Sara Duterte. Katunayan, sabi ni Ligutan, 460 million pesos umano ang confidential fund ng Davao City sa mga taong 2019 hanggang 2022. Pero sabi ni Acosta, hindi na niya ito matandaan dahil matagal na at dahil sa kanyang edad. Tinanong din si Acosta tungkol sa Joint Circular 2015-01 na nagtatakda ng guidelines kung paano gastusin ang confidential fund. Sabi ni Acosta, alam niyang sinasabi rito na bawal ilipat ang cash advance ng confidential fund mula sa isang accountable officer papunta sa ibang accountable officer. Kabuuang 500 million pesos ang ibinigay ni Acosta kay Colonel Raymond Lachica, ang dating security officer ng OVP at head ng Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group. Kinumpirma ni Acosta na wala siyang pinanghahawakang resibo o anumang dokumento na magpapatunay na tinanggap ni Lachica ang confidential funds para sa 4th quarter ng 2022 hanggang 3rd quarter ng 2023. Ang kanilang sistema umano kasi magbibigay ng acknowledgement receipt si Lachica matapos tanggapin ang pondo. Pero binabawi niya ito matapos magsumite ng liquidation report si Acosta sa Commission on Audit. Pagdating naman sa usapin ng 16 million pesos na ginastos ng OVP para sa safe houses mula December 21 to 31, 2022, tinanong ni Ligutan si Acosta kung hindi ba kasuklam-suklam at labis ang paggamit na ito ng pera ng taong bayan. Tugon ni Acosta, umasa lang siya sa sinabi sa kanya ng security officer na si Lachica. Naungkat din sa trial ang 75 million pesos na ginastos naman para sa medical and food aid para sa huling quarter ng 2022.
For the period December 21 to 31, the amount for the purchase of supplies, provision of medical food aid. Okay? If we sum that up, it totals a whopping 75 million pesos para sa supplies, provision of medical and food aid. 75 million pesos. Tanong, ikaw ba ay in possession ng isang single official receipt na magpapatunay na talagang ginamit yung 75 million pesos para sa pagbili ng supplies, medical and food aid?
Your Honor, nag-rely po ako kung anong mga dokumento ang binigay sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor.
Hindi niyo ba naisip humingi ng OR?
Naitanong ko po siya kasi may napansin po ako na ang iba walang date, walang name, may pirma. Ang sagot naman sa akin ni ISO officer, Ma'am Gina, kung ano man ang binigay ko sa iyo na mga dokumento, yun na yun. Kasi ang mga transaction or ang operation doon is very sensitive information.
Kinumpirma naman ni Acosta na hindi niya nakitang ibinigay nila Chica ang confidential fund sa mga sinasabing recipient nito dahil hindi siya kasama sa ground at nagtiwala lang siya sa security officer. Maging ang liquidation reports ng OVP na sinertipikahan ay base umano sa mga dokumentong ibinigay nila Chica. Umaasa si Senator Judge at Presiding Officer Francis Escudero na darating sila sa puntong matatanong ang security officer tungkol sa mga lumabas na issue. Sa ngayon, Stanley, ay nakabreak ang trial at magbabalik mamayang 12:30 ng tanghali. Magsisimula na mamaya ang cross-examination ng defense team o ng counsel for the respondent. At yan muna ang latest mula rito sa Senado. Balik sa inyo, Stanley.
Okay, maraming salamat, Victoria Tulad. Sana mabalikan ka namin ngayon kasi tutungo muna tayo ngayon sa isang press conference ng House Prosecution Panel. Pakinggan natin yan.
Prosecution kasi kunyari si Acosta humarap na naman siya before sa kamera. So bakit po parang hindi ganon ka positive ang prosecution, and ano kayo iimbita natin si La Chica dahil ang daming beses na niyang binabanggit dito sa paglilitis na to, or is it related po ba dun sa supposedly may investigation din ng armed forces? Is it about respecting the institution? Paano po ba mga
I wouldn't call it lukewarm, no? Ang importante naman dito is we established na ang person na SDO na siya dapat ang nag-disburse ay hindi siya ang nag-disburse. That's a given already. Whether La Chica testifies or not, it's already admitted na hindi siya ang nag-disburse ng pera. Binigay niya kay La Chica. Di ba? So, all of the certifications na sinubmit nila to the COA, mali na. Kasi hindi naman siya ang wala naman siyang personal na alam kung saan ginamit, paano ginamit. Eh, yun lang ang importante na ma-establish. Ang second na siguro to address that issue na lukewarm. No? We're fighting against time also eh. Ayaw namin na humaba sobra itong trial na to. Ang importante is that we have clearly established na yung SDO, the bonded person, the accountable officer, also supposedly, hindi siyang nag-disburse. At wala siyang kinalaman sa pag-disburse.
Yeah, ganun din yung aking pananaw doon. No? Kasi if you recall, no, from the beginning, no, mula nung ang pera ay winidraw, no, hanggang sa yung may last touch dun sa pera, no, doon pa lang sa prior to the last touch na may hawak ng pera, meron ng mga violations. Ibinigay sa hindi bonded officer, ibinigay yung kabuuan ng 125 million sa isang tao na hindi naman allowed or authorized to disburse these funds because only the SDO ang allowed to disburse these funds. She has to have a personal knowledge on the disbursing of this money. Kalahating bilyong piso ito hindi ito biro. Hindi naman pwedeng ituro lang kay Juan o kay Pedro na ang pera binigay ko dyan eh. So, dun pa lang sa prior steps, prior to the person who has the last touch of that fund, marami ng violation na nakumit. So, dun lang kami nagre-rely. And sabi nga natin kanina, if the panel believes that there must, we should subpoena another witness in order to substantiate yung illegal disbursement of these funds, then maybe we feel we will probably subpoena itong mga taong nabanggit mo.
Dagdag ko lang, no? Wala nga siya mapakita na tinanggap yung pera ni La Chica, di ba? Sinabi niya may pinirmahan, but binawi din. Meaning it's no longer with her. Wala silang copy, wala man silang duplicate man lang na nagpapakita na in truth and in fact, tinanggap ni La Chica yung pera at si La Chica ang nag-disburse. Kwento na lang lahat based on the statements of Acosta. But other than that, that's 125 million. No? Kahit man lang papel na, kahit post-it man lang na tinanggap mo yung 125 million, wala.
Sir, two questions po. First question po, what do you make out of yung sinabi ni Gina Acosta na nung tinanong siya kung meron bang ipinakita na pruweba si Colonel Lachica, ang sinabi ni Gina Acosta, kung ano yung binigay ni Lachica, yun na raw yun. Parang blanket na paniniwala na okay na to. Above board lahat yan. What do you make out of it po?
Well, unang-una, yung sagot niya, lagi niyang sinasabi dun sa kanyang sagot na ang merong alam sa ground ay si Colonel Lachica, di ba? But the issue really is that these funds was those disbursements, that's kalahating bilyong piso yan. So doon pa lang meron ng alam mong merong improper and maybe perhaps illegal and irregular disbursement of funds, or to put it bluntly, irregular, improper transfer of funds, di ba? To someone who is not really banded. So may malaking question mark. At yung punto na yun yung sinasabi natin dito sa articles of impeachment, that there was indeed misuse of these confidential funds.
Ako, I was trying to figure it out kanina nga based on the answers of Acosta. Na parang ang hirap mo i-figure out Kasi yung plano is binigay upon the disbursement of the cash, di ba? But paano mo malalaman na itong amount ang gagamitin mo to purchase information for tree planting? Paano mo malalaman na itong X million of pesos ang gagamitin mo para safe ang libreng sakay? Kasi dapat as it happens yan Di ba? Mahirap i-imagine mo na this is how much I will appropriate to purchase information because it's information nga they're purchasing Second, yung rewards. Paano mo masabi na X amount of rewards ang ibibigay mo for this particular activity? Hindi pa nga nangyari. Reward na siya. It's after dapat, di ba? Kaya successful, kaya nga nag-reward ka. So, ang daming questions no? Na kung ikaw yung SDO, bakit ko ibibigay to na ito yung binigay mo sa akin na plano? Hindi siya clear kung anong dapat paggamitan mo ng pera.
Yung second question ko po, kasi sabi ni Kong Ace kanina, tingin nyo hindi scripted naman yung mga sagot ni Gina Acosta, although evasive, parang evasive pero hindi scripted. Ang tanong ko po, what could have been the purpose for what could have been the reason for OVP or the Vice President to hire her, given that her answers would show na she's either not competent for the job or that she is just playing dumb. Sa tingin nyo, which of the two? Kasi parang, sir, her answers, her demeanor would not display, would not reflect for someone who is of that position, SDO, sensitive position siya. So, parang ako, personally, may dalawa akong conclusion. Either she's playing dumb or she's not competent enough. Well, do you have the same thoughts or do you have the same idea?
Ako personally, I believe competent siya because may experience siya Di ba? Nandoon na siya when she was also the SDO in Davao City So, lahat yan, naging practice at alam niya na kung paano dinidisburse yan. Ang tanong na nga lang, have they been disbursing the same funds, confidential funds, in the same way? Di ba? Nung sa Davao City or dito sa OVP. Pangalawa, sa tingin ko, to sum it all up, yung kanyang demeanor, yung kanyang statement, kanyang response or reply sa question, less talk, less mistake siguro. Takot siya na i-probe, if she makes a statement and then i-probe pa ito deeper, baka magkamali. And dun nga, kaya nga sinasabi ko, hindi siguro scripted, takot lang na matanong pa ng madagdagan pa ng question.
Ang masasabi ko po is, ibang Acosta ang nakita namin sa committee, sa House. Ibang Acosta ito ngayon ang nakaharap sa Senado. In the way she answers, the way she responds to the questions, parang gano'n. Ito ngayon, parang may, paano ba yan? Binabalikan siyang answer lang isa lang. binigay namin kay La Chica kasi siya ang may alam sa paano, blah, blah, blah. No? But again, ang dami mong tanong no? Na, like let's say, maraming indicators no, na questionable talaga. Una, bakit binigay kay La Chica? Hindi siya ang SDO, di ba? Second, bakit walang signed acknowledgement man lang that he received the amount? Bakit withdraw yun? No? Na signed acknowledgement. It's supposed to be parang yun pang trace mo, saan pumunta yung pera eh. Bakit i-withdraw? So parang anyone can always deny na wala sa akin yan, wala akong pinirmahan yan, di ba? So hindi ako ang dapat sisihin nyo. So these are things na sa tingin ko would clearly indicate na may kaduda-duda sa transactions na yon.
And dumb as in walang kaalaman dun sa pag... Well, we can probably look at it that way, no? Kasi ito yung disbursement of these funds, confidential funds, this is supposed to be on a per need basis, di ba? So kung merong need to buy information on, say, for example, on an alleged terrorist group being organized somewhere in the country, dapat ganun lang yung hindi yung kabuuang 125 ipinasa mo dun sa isang unbonded o hindi special disbursing officer. Kung halimbawa ibulsa niya yon at sabihin niya na ginamit niya to purchase information or to buy information, so anong hold natin? Hindi siya accountable. Diba? He can actually deny it. Diba? Lalo na nung tinanong kung meron ka bang pinapirma sa kanya na na-receive niya yung 125 million, binawi daw. So, ngayon, wala tayong ngayon dyan kung paano.
At sa tingin ko, she's not dumb naman talaga. I'm sure she's far from it, no? Hindi mo aasahan ng example, sa city pa lang, siya din SDO, 460 million na ibibigay mo to a person na sinasabing hindi naman ganon siguro, di ba? I'm sure may alam yan. I'm sure marunong yan, no? Kasi hindi mo iaasa ang ganong kalaking halaga sa taong sa tingin mo'y walang kakayahan na mag-isip.
Alright, thank you, Kap. Janeska, your turn.
Sir, I just have one question. Nakat kasi to sa... well, it was stricken off the record yung question ni Attorney Ligutan. Ang pinopoint out kasi niya, Miss Acosta said she has no personal knowledge if the confidential funds were indeed received by legitimate persons given yung names kanina na Pagong, Belat, may mga ganun. So, sabi niya, hindi siya pusa, Timon pusa. So, hindi daw siya, tinanong siya ni Senator Escudero, wala daw siyang personal knowledge. Sabi niya, hindi niya alam kung legitimate nga ba yun. But, at the same time, she is accepting the submissions of Colonel La Chica of where the funds went, where the confidential funds went. So how do you describe that situation? Kasi pina-strike out yung word na scam. Are the people being misled by Miss Acosta and the OVP? How do you describe that situation na tinatanggap niya lang yung ganong liquidation even if di naman siya sigurado kung legitimate nga? How do you describe that? Is this deception? Taking the public for a ride? And is this acceptable? Thank you.
Well, the fact that tinatanggap lang niya whatever sinasubmit sa kanya bilang liquidation dun sa pondong hawak nung pinagbigyan niya ng pondo, sa tingin ko meron ng... Kasi accountable officer ka eh. You have to account for every peso na ginastos dyan sa anong yan. So, I would probably say na kapag halimbawa, itong si SDO at saka yung sinasabi niyang pinagbigyan niya ng pera, si Pedro, halimbawa, magkasabwat, at meron silang ginawang kalokohan. This is just hypothetical. What I'm trying to point out here is that dahil hindi mo alam kung toong ginastos, wala kang personal knowledge kung saan talaga ginastos yan, malaki yung question mark na naglalaro sa isipan ng taong bayan na maaaring yan ay binulsa mo o hindi kaya ay ginamit mo sa kung saan na hindi naman angkop doon sa dapat pagkagastusan nitong pondong ito. Therefore, sa tingin ko, mukhang clearly the reason why she replies or respond that way is because she was being careful na lumabas yung punto na meron siyang kinalaman sa maling paggamit nito. Kasi parang, if you notice, parang tinutulak lang niya eh. Binigay ko lang yan kay because yan ang order sa akin eh. Na whatever pinagkagastusan nung pinagbigyan niya, she just accepts it hook, line, and sinker and submits it as their compliance dun sa COA requirement without actually even checking nor confirming that she has personal knowledge dun sa pinagkagastusan. So parang merong malalim na ano yan. And we have to really analyze this deeper.
Alright. Thank you. Marian, your turn. We have one last question dahil 3 minutes na lang. We will entertain one last
Good afternoon
question.
po. Gaano po kabigat, kahalaga na na-establish din po kanina na, yun nga po, tinawag na modus operandi pero sinabi na lang ni presiding officers SOP daw po, Standard Operating Procedure, yung ginawa ni Acosta. Hindi lang sa OVP but even way back po nung SDO pa siya sa Davao City. So ibig sabihin 2 billion pesos po ng confidential funds. Ganun na rin pala yung ginagawa nila. Binibigay po sa security officer, papipirmahin ng acknowledgement receipt, kukunin, ibabalik kapag nakagawa na ng fund utilization report and nakaliquidate na sa COA. And bakit po kaya na kinukuha yung AR para walang trace mula kay La Chica na sa akin binigay itong millions, billions of pesos. Paano po ba? Bakit po kaya gano'n?
Sa akin may rules tayo kasi nga to make sure na isa lang ang accountable officer or may taong accountable for the money that is given. Kasi nga, we have to account for every peso that goes through us, di ba? So, you cannot pass on that accountability to another person who is not authorized to handle that money. Even if siya yung may security siguro clearance or background kung paano i-implement yung projects na yun, bawal na po yun yung pag-transfer. That alone is already a serious and gross violation of the rules that we have. We have rules so that we follow these rules para may accountable tao talaga na babalikan kung in case it's misused. And sa answers ni Acosta, it has been disregarded, totally disregarded.
Last na lang po, mga taga Mindanao po kayo. Wala ba talaga kayong kilala na may ganung apelido? Pagong, Pusa, Bella, at Ngit-Ngit?
Wala pa ako na-meet na Pagong at saka Pusa ang apelido so far. So, kaya nga, ang initial reaction ko, gaya ng maraming nating kababayan, ay natawa nung nakita natin at nadinig natin ito.
Alright. Kung para mabigyan natin naman ang pagkakataon yung ating prosecution team na makapaganda sa pagpapatuloy ng trial, pinuputol na po natin ang ating press briefing. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Salamat po sa inyong pagsubaybay.
Okay, Representatives Jonathan Keith Flores and Representative Robert Ace Barbers from the prosecution side on a press conference on today's impeachment trial, day 17. They have winded down their examination or cross-examination of Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta. They say they have enough evidence, enough information to point out some discrepancies, to point out irregularities in the way the confidential funds were handled by the Special Disbursing Officer. And we are still joined by Attorney Paolo Tamase today, Associate Dean of UP College of Law, on his analysis on what just happened. I want to talk about Colonel La Chica now. You mentioned a while back, before we began the show, that it is more of the burden of the defense to bring him out, but it looks like the prosecution is just as will benefit just as much when they summon. In fact, there was mention about the possibility of calling him in as a witness to see Colonel La Chica, because it seems like everyone for everything. Yung testimony ni Acosta, pointed to Colonel Chica really. Binigay sa kanya kasi siya ngayon, kahit wala siyang, he is not a bonded person or he is not a disbursing officer, binigay sa kanya, walang receipts, just some form of acknowledgement.
Yes.
No? So how essential is Colonel Chica now?
He's the elephant in the room and also the missing puzzle in itong whole story of what happened to the confidential fund. So, paulit-ulit kasi siya in the testimony of Gina Acosta. So, ang titignan natin is from the legal perspective, if this were a court proceeding, it would be the burden of the defense to show Colonel Chica. Kasi the prosecution has so far proven through the COA report and Gina Acosta, a hostile witness, na may problem with the liquidation, that there are problems with the documents, that there may be doubts in whether yung confidential funds actually went to a proper use. So the defense, the burden shifts to the burden of evidence shifts to the defense for them to present, di ba, a reason, a justification kung bakit nga ganito yung pagpapaikot or pagpapadala ng pera. But that's the legal side, or that's the regular, if this were a regular court, ganun yung normal course. But being an impeachment trial, I think everyone has been asking whether the prosecution will present. And I think it shows yung public expectation na dapat buo yung kwento on the part of the prosecution. Of course, the difficulty is if wala kasing past testimony ni Colonel Chica, which means risky on the part of the prosecution to get a witness like him, because there's no document, no house hearing, no sworn statement na pwede mong ibangga in case Colonel Chica's testimony will not fit your narrative. Very different yung kay Gina Acosta, where she already testified in the House of Representatives and therefore may ibubunggo na or may babangga na in case she changes her testimony or her version.
Pero itong si Colonel Chica, no, it opens a lot of doors really when he testifies, and if ever he does. Gaano ka-substantial ngayon itong testimonies na manggagaling kay La Chica, given that, you know, lahat ng anomalies, inconsistency siya makakasagot? Gaano ka kalakas na ebidensya ito for this particular article of impeachment?
It depends on what he will say. Okay.
Kasi kung magde-deny siya,
yes. Kung magde-deny
back
siya,
and forth yun.
or he will admit na siya yung kumuha. If he will take the fall, for example, it might be ruinous to the case of the prosecution. Kasi in that sense, magkakaroon ng scapegoat yung Vice President for all of the failure of liquidation or failure to comply with the auditing rules and potential misuse of the funds. Meron siyang fall guy na mapopoint, right? But if the witness testifies that this was part of a larger scheme, that this was also under the direction of the Vice President, therefore confirming Gina Acosta's earlier testimony na pinasa niya yung fund kay Colonel Chica because inutos ni VP Sara, then the prosecution will be able to show that this was with the intent and under the direction of the Vice President. Kaya mahirap tawagin si Colonel Chica on either side. No, parang it will be, he will either provide the explanation that the defense needs really right now, given what the prosecution has presented, but at the same time, he might be able to close any remaining gaps in the prosecution's case, but it can also turn against them. Yung testimony niya, if there's no record at least na pwede mo siyang what we call it also is impeach, na pwede mong i-question yung credibility of his testimony.
And based on what we know so far, is there anything at all that leads now to the Vice President? O wala pa rin? Mukhang backstops with Acosta and La Chica.
Well, the buck stops with her both in fact and in law. Legally, in terms of the COA circular, the head of agency can't wriggle her or his way out of this problem by pointing to the SDO. In normal government audits, it runs through a process of 15, 16 plus approvals, hypothetical number, but madaming documents, which means kung head of agency ka, you sign something in procurement, you sign something to buy something for your agency, and it turns out na hindi totoo yung item na iyon, it's a ghost item, you can always point to a paper trail and say na I relied on the work of subordinates to show that this is properly procured. That's called the Arias Doctrine. But confidential funds are different kasi confidential funds are the personal responsibility of the head of agency and the SDO. They're both accountable for it. And the reason why they're like that is flexible kasi yung pondo. So they don't go through the same very tedious procurement process na normal government purchases would run through. So legally, she's responsible. Whatever happens to her agency, if her SDO mismanages it, if Colonel La Chica gives it, for example, to fake people or to ghost recipients, then siya yung responsible legally. But the additional thing that Gina Acosta gives the prosecution is she has direct testimony na inutos sa kanya ni VP Sara yun.
Paulit-ulit niya naman sinabi.
Yes, to give the money to somebody who I think it has been established is not a bonded officer, is not a properly appointed SDO, and is somebody who is just parang trusted, a security officer, to run whatever confidential operations that are not reflected in the documents that were prepared and submitted by Gina Acosta. So yung modus na nabanggit ng prosecution of yung walang basis or walang documentary proof, for example, to show that this was actually disbursed kasi hiningi ulit yung report or hiningi ulit yung acknowledgement receipt, those types of irregularities, they stop, the buck stops with both, with the vice president, both in law and in terms of the evidence that has already been given.
Pero si Gina Acosta lang so far, no? Parang sa kanya lang nagsastop yung buck.
Yes.
At this point, you're getting a sense na what if hanggang sa kanya nga lang because todo depends rin siya sa kanyang boss. And kanina nga one reporter brought up an interesting point. Is she just playing dumb or she doesn't know anything at all, which is very remote naman. So what else is there that can possibly elevate the case of putting it to higher responsible person than Gina Acosta?
If we look at the witnesses, the list of witnesses, no, Madriaga was supposed to be one of the witnesses na ipapakita kasi I think the larger claim in the House level is that this is part of a larger scheme of how public funds are being used for the personal benefit or non-allowable uses of the Vice President. But there are also risks in calling a witness with already a spotty record. There ilang beses na bumaliktad kasi I think si Madriaga. So may risks din in calling that type of witness. Ultimately, and I think if you compare it to past impeachments, the reality is the public will require something more than what the law only asks for. The law only asks that there be some proof na mali yung liquidation, and it creates a presumption, diba? Parang ipapalagay natin under the law na may corrupt activity na nangyari, and therefore it becomes the burden of the officer who failed to liquidate to show na walang corruption there. That's what the law requires. But that's not what politics requires. It's not what politically might be the smoking gun na hinahanap ng public in impeachment. So the prosecution has two options so far. The first is, will they be able to present testimony other than the direct connection to the Vice President, showing na spurious talaga yung people who received the acknowledgement? Will the testimony of Gina Acosta be corroborated by the next SDO they will call? Because that will be a powerful signal that this is really how she has run her office. Or the alternative is they need to be able to sell the narrative to the public na the problem with corruption prosecutions, in difficulty niya, corruption is done in the dark. And precisely, there is often no paper trail to corruption, and therefore the lack of a paper trail is itself very indicative of corruption. If they're able to make that case not only to the public but also to the senator judges, then baka enough yun to more or less sway that Article 1 has been proven.
And how did the prosecution and even the defense perform today in terms of, getting to that, what you said about establishing corruption or denying or stopping that idea that in fact there is corruption in all of these transactions?
With the caveat that we're still at the just the end of direct examination, I think the prosecution was able to do that to the public. Now, many of the things that Attorney Ligutan tried to insert, modus, the scam, may have been stricken off or napalambot yun, nahilot yun nung objection ng defense. So, illegally, the court, the impeachment record will never reflect that. But the public has already heard it, or the public has already heard.
Nabitawan na eh. no?
Nabitawan na.
Yeah.
And yun yung difference nga with impeachment and with normal court processes. Kasi a judge, legal fiction, legal fiction will not be able to see that. Na parang in reality, parang, or in theory, hindi niya narinig yun, even if it was said. So walang ganun na concept in impeachment before the public. So I think the prosecution was able to get out what they needed to. I think there could have been a faster presentation. It may have been more ideal, but they ended up before lunch being able to show the evidence that they wanted. On the defense's side, naharangan naman nila legally a lot of the objectionable questions. There were questions that were speculative, or there were questions that sounded like posturing to the public instead of actually questions to the witness. And kung ako yung witness, maintindihan ko yung confusion.
Ano yung dangerous questions na yun for you kanina, so far, sa lahat na sinabi ni Attorney Ligutan na in-object niya itong defense?
I mean, in terms of the...
Of course, you have the scam, yun.
Yeah, the scam, the modus, no, yung dalawa na yun.
Scam and modus.
I think they're objectionable in the sense that the witness did not testify to a scam. And loaded yung words na yun. So they may call for a conclusion, they may be part or as a means of harassing the witness as well. So especially given her hostile status. So objectionable siya in that sense. But yung real na linis or hilot niyan will be tested if the defense is able to do a proper cross-examination.
Okay, which is happening
right after lunch.
Right about now. No? So ano expectations mo?
This is a bit different from what we've seen in cross-examinations before. Usually, in the direct examination, which was just concluded, very amiable ang questioning ng prosecution to the witness because that is his witness, that is her witness. So, ang role of the cross-examination is to actually put holes, bubutasan niya yung testimony ng witness. And therefore, mas combative yung defense with the witness in the last 15 trial dates that we've seen. But because this is a hostile witness, parang reverse yung dynamic. The prosecution, as you can see, as you saw earlier, mas antagonistic yung discussions niya with the defense, with the witness, Gina Acosta, because Gina Acosta's interest is to cooperate with the Vice President. Kaya nga siya hostile witness. So, instead of the defense putting more holes in her testimony, yung susubukan nila gawin is i-repair nila, i-rehabilitate nila yung testimony. They will probably give her an opportunity to explain. Unlike Attorney Ligutan na puro yes or no, the defense will probably ask her to explain why she answered yes to a damaging question.
And maybe based on that, ano yung pinakamalaking damage do you think that the defense will focus on?
I think it was
repairing
the scheme of yung acknowledgement receipts na pipirmahan, ibibigay sa kanya, tas ibabalik din niya. Which is highly unusual. We all have signed an acknowledgement receipt at one point in our life. And usually, yung...
Hindi sinusoli yun.
And yung party na nagbigay, siya yung may hawak. Yung nagbayad, siya yung may hawak ng acknowledgement receipt. Acknowledges na tinanggap mo from that person. So yung modus na yun, baka kailangan yun i-rehabilitate, i-clean up nung defense.
Yung violations dun sa yung disbursing to a non-disbursing officer or non-bonded officer.
That's the other one. So marami kasing evident deviations yung defense, rather the Vice President's office, from established procedures, and why they deviated might come out in the cross-examination. Is there a reason why they're not following the audit processes? We've heard before na confidential kasi yung operation and therefore maingat sila. But it's different to hear it from a witness who will try to explain exactly, give more detail na more than just a blanket excuse na confidential siya.
And hahaba kaya ito? Do you think this is going to be a long session for the defense team?
I think it really depends. Dati mahaba yung cross-examination because the defense tries to plug or to put holes. But this time they're plugging it. So, depending on how many holes they assess, the prosecution was able to make.
Okay, Attorney Tamasi, hold that thought. Bumalik na tayo sa Senado para sa pagpapatuloy ng Day 17 ng impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
Council Correspondent, sa ilalim ng pareho pa rin po niyong pinanumpaan nung nagsimula po kayong tumestigo. Naunawaan niyo po yun?
Opo, Your Honor.
Okay. Attorney Lyndon, your witness for your cross-examination.
with the permission of this honorable court. Good morning, good afternoon, Ma'am Gina.
Good afternoon po.
You mentioned that you were the special disbursing officer of Davao City. And this is from 2018 to 2022, correct?
Opo, Your Honor.
And the mayor then was Vice President Sara Duterte.
Opo, Your Honor.
When you were SDO of Davao City, your duty pertained to disbursing confidential funds appropriated for Davao City, correct?
Hindi ko maklaro ang
Noon pong SDO kayo, ang duty nyo po ay ang pag-disburse ng confidential funds para sa Davao City, tama po?
Tama po.
And you also prepared and submitted liquidation documents during that time, correct
Yes,
po?
tama po.
And when you were SDO of Davao City, there is no audit observation memorandum issued by the Commission on Audit against you, correct?
Wala po.
And when you were SDO of Davao City, there is no audit observation memorandum issued by the Commission on Audit against then Mayor Sara Duterte, correct?
Wala po.
There is likewise no notice of suspension issued by the Commission on Audit against you, correct? When you were
Wala.
And there is no notice of suspension issued against then Mayor Sara Duterte, correct?
Wala po.
Wala rin pong notice of disallowance.
Wala po.
Laban sa inyo, wala po.
Wala po, Your
Wala rin pong notice of disallowance laban sa kay dating Mayor Sara Duterte, tama po?
Tama po, wala.
And the Commission on Audit did not reopen any audit for confidential funds of Davao City, correct?
Correct po.
Your Honor, sorry, but I have to
As an answer, Your Honor.
interject a continuing objection to this series of questions. May state my ground?
I think I know what your ground is, counsel, but you may do so for the
Your
record.
Honor, magically, now this witness remembers what happened in Davao. Kanina, when the prosecution was asking her, sabi niya,
Counsel is
"Hindi niya
testifying,
maalala."
Your Honor.
Wait, incompetent. Put in
It's-
record.
Counsel is testifying.
And the objection is overruled, counsel. Counsel may proceed.
And when you were SDO of Davao City, it is the joint circular which is already in effect, correct?
Yes po.
And you are aware of the requirements of the joint circular regarding your functions as the special disbursing officer.
Yes, Your Honor.
You mentioned also that you were the special disbursing officer of the Office of the Vice President for its confidential funds from quarter 4 of 2022 until quarter 3 of 2023, correct?
Correct po, Your Honor.
And similar with your tasks in Davao City, you also prepared the documents for liquidation.
Opo, Your Honor.
As SDO, you were not part of any confidential operations of the agency, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have no experience in confidential operations.
Wala pa akong experience niyan, Your Honor.
You do not know how confidential operations are done on the ground.
Wala pa akong alam niyan, Your Honor.
You have not undergone any formal training regarding confidential operations or activities.
Wala pa akong training na ganyan.
You are not aware of the operational security required when it comes to confidential operations, correct?
Yes po.
Wala po kayong military background.
Wala po akong...
May law enforcement background po ba kayo?
Ano po, Your?
Do you have a law enforcement background?
Wala po ako niyan, Your Honor.
When you were SDO of the OVP, you have no authority to access security information, correct?
Yes po.
Wala rin po kayong authority to access classified information.
Yes po.
You were not also given any security clearance in the
Wala.
OVP. And because you were already the SDO of Davao City, you remain familiar with the joint circular, correct?
Familiar po a little, Your Honor.
The joint circular does not require you, an SDO, to be personally involved in the agency's confidential operations.
That's misleading, Your Honor. It's clearly in the joint circular that that's the job. That's the job of an SDO, to disperse confidential funds.
Your Honor, the prosecution also inquired as to the contents of the joint circular.
Oh, that's why.
I'm examining the witness, Your Honor. If there is such a provision.
The question is misleading.
Witness may answer if she knows. I'll allow it, counsel. Kindly answer the question.
The joint circular does not require you, an SDO, to be personally involved in the agency's confidential operations on the ground.
Wala pong sinabi ang circular, Your Honor.
Wala rin po bang sinabi sa joint circular na kailangan may experience kayo pagdating sa confidential operations?
Wala din, Your Honor, sa akong pagka-understand.
May nakalagay rin po ba sa joint circular na kailangan may kaalaman kayo kung papaano ginagawa ang confidential activities?
Wala ko naka-encounter, Your Honor, sa GC.
Nire-require din po ba kayo ng joint circular na mag-undergo ng formal na training para sa confidential activities?
Wala, Your Honor.
Nire-require po ba kayo ng joint circular na dapat ang STO merong military background?
Wala ko kabasahan, Your Honor.
Wala rin ang law enforcement background? Wala rin ganung requirement?
Wala, Your Honor.
Nire-require ba ng joint circular na ang isang special disbursing officer kailangan may authority to access security information?
Wala, Your Honor.
Nire-require din po ba ng joint circular na ang STO kailangan may security clearance?
Wala, Your Honor.
Nire-require din po ba ng joint circular na pinagbabawal kayo mag-rely sa documents provided by a security officer?
Ano yun, Your Honor?
May pagbabawal po ba sa joint circular na ang nabawal mag-rely sa documents na pinoprovide ng security officer?
Wala, Your Honor.
The requirement of the joint circular is that a special disbursing officer must be a regular or permanent employee of the agency, correct?
Opo, Your Honor.
And you are a regular or permanent employee of the Office of the Vice President. Tama po ba?
Tama po, Your Honor. Coterminous po, Your Honor.
And the joint circular provides that it is the SO who must have access to security information. Tama po?
Tama po, Your Honor.
And ito rin po ba ang dahilan kaya ang SO, ang security officer, ang kailangan mag-implement ng confidential operations ng ahensya?
Sa ako ang pagsabot sa GC, Your Honor.
At ang security officer po, ang nag-designate dito ang head of agency, tama?
Yes, ang head of agency, Your Honor.
Yun din po ba ang dahilan kaya kinailangan nyo ang inputs o guidance ng security officer in preparing the physical and financial plan?
Yes, Your Honor, kasi wala po akong alam sa sa mga operations sa ground.
The OVP submitted a physical and financial plan to the Department of Budget and Management, correct? For
Opo.
2022? Are you aware?
Nag-submit po ang OVP ng physical and financial plan na required po sa DBM.
At ito pong physical and financial plan is in support of the OVP's request for confidential funds noong 2022.
Opo.
And the PFP, which the OVP submitted to the Department of Budget and Management, is also based on the good governance program of the OVP, correct?
Wala ko ka-get sa question ni mo, Your Honor.
Yung po bang physical and financial plan na sinubmit ng OVP sa Department of Budget and Management, nakabase rin po ba sa good governance program ng OVP?
Opo, Your Honor.
At matapos pong isubmit ang nasabing physical and financial plan, tama po ba na the Department of Budget and Management recommended the approval of the confidential funds to the Office of the President?
Opo, Your Honor.
And the Office of the President, through the Executive Secretary, approved the Office of the Vice President's request for confidential funds?
Your Honor, at this juncture, I'll be objective. If I may state the ground, Your Honor, please.
Proceed, counsel.
The ground being, there is a distinction between, on one hand, things that may be covered on cross on a non-adverse witness. Totoo po, sa 2019 rules, nakasulat dyan, inamend ng Korte Suprema na po pwedeng magtanong on cross yung isang partido so long as on any relevant matter. Pero po, Your Honor, in the 2019 rules, hindi po nabago. Yung rule po that is applicable to adverse witness, nakasulat po sa rule sa adverse witness, po pwede lang mag-cross sa mga bagay na napag-usapan during redirect. Ulitin ko po, mas pinalawig ng 2019 rules yung cross-examination for ordinary witnesses. Pero sa adverse witness, which we have now, hindi po pinalawig ng Supreme Court. Dapat po may relevance sa naging pag-uusap ng abogado at testigo during redirect. Now, that's the point. Now, as to who approved the confidential funds, Your Honor, it was not touched upon. It was not touched upon during the direct examination. Ulitin ko, 2019 rules, pinalawig yung cross for ordinary witness, pero mas stricto pa rin yung rule applicable when it comes to adverse witness. Objection, Your Honor, that's not allowed. During cross of an adverse witness, basis rules of court.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Of course you may.
Your Honor, my inquiry is based on the fiscal and financial plan for 2022, which was the subject matter of the inquiry in the examination in chief, Your Honor. So the inquiry is necessitated to inform this honorable court of the entire picture.
The court will, for the meantime, overrule the objection, also because this has been established, but I would like to remind counsel, this has been established already by the previous witnesses, counsel, that the confidential funds was by virtue of Pasaro, and it is indeed in the document that you are referring to. Overruled. With this, may answer.
May I repeat my question, Your Honor? The Office of the President, through the Executive Secretary, approved the Office of the Vice President request for confidential funds. Correct?
Opo, Your Honor.
And this approval is why the OVP was allocated confidential funds for 2022. Ito po yung dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng confidential funds ang OVP noong taong 2022.
Opo, Your Honor.
So you also prepared the Fiscal and Financial Plan for 2023. This Fiscal and Financial Plan was based on the General Appropriations Act, correct?
Yes po, KAP po.
And the General Appropriations Act for 2023 allocates confidential funds for the Office of the Vice President.
Opo.
The General Appropriations Act contains a line item allocation for OVP's socio-economic program delivery. Correct?
Yes po.
The General Appropriations Act for 2023 was approved by the Senate and the House of Representatives, correct?
Opo, Your Honor.
Which is why, for the Fiscal and Financial Plan for 2023, you indicated socio-economic program delivery.
Yes po.
And in this Fiscal and Financial Plan, the Vice President is a signatory, correct?
Isa po siya sa nagpirma, Your Honor.
You mentioned that you prepared the documents for liquidation. You also executed certifications, correct?
Opo, Your Honor.
The form of the certification is provided by the joint circular, correct?
Yes po.
In fact, the form of said certification is contained in Annex B of the joint circular.
Ano po yun, Your Honor?
May the witness be confronted with Defense Exhibits D-I-136, Annex B,
Assisting counsels may approach.
which is a template of the certification, Your Honor, attached in the joint circular. Tama po, ma'am, no, na ang form ng certification ay nakalagay sa Annex B ng Joint Circular.
Opo, Your Honor.
And the Joint Circular states or provides the contents that must appear in the certification. Tama po?
This one?
Opo, nakalagay po dyan kung anong mga aligasyon na dapat naka-indicate sa certification. Tama po?
Tama po.
The Joint Circular does not give you any authority to alter the form it has given for the certification. Tama po?
Tama po.
And when you were preparing the liquidation documents, nabanggit nyo rin po kanina na you had the opportunity to examine the documents which is submitted to the COA, correct?
Ano po yun?
Nung pong nagpe-prepare kayo ng liquidation, nabanggit nyo rin po kanina na nakita nyo po yung mga documents na kailangan, tama po? Sa liquidation?
Opo.
And nakita mo rin po doon yung liquidation report, tama po? Yung mga liquidation reports kada quarter.
Opo.
And you were able to see that the Vice President certified that the cash advance for confidential funds was duly accomplished. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nung habang nag-liquidate din po kayo para sa confidential funds kada quarter, you remain in coordination with the security officer.
Opo.
And ito pong coordination na to
Your Honor, can I object?
Yes, what is the basis of the objection, Counsel?
That's not even a question. There was no question. The counsel is just stating a statement and waiting for the witness to confirm. The witness is testifying. There's no question.
What's the basis of the...
There's no question.
There
Ask
was
a
a question, Your Honor.
There's no question on record. You're just stating a statement and waiting for this witness to say, yes, tama po.
That was a question.
Actually, it assumes that the question was in seriatim, I presume.
Yes, Your Honor.
All based on
In declarative form, Your
all
Honor.
based on the documents submitted.
Question in the
And when
declarative
asked if he is correct in saying that, it is in the form of a question, Counsel. But if he, the court will allow it and will gladly welcome a continuing objection along these lines of questioning, Counsel,
Yes, Your
to
Honor.
be placed on record. Counsel, may proceed.
This coordination pertains with the security officer pertains to how confidential funds was implemented on the ground, correct?
Opo.
In fact, you mentioned earlier that the security officer also showed you a fund utilization report. This is how you know how the confidential funds was implemented on the ground. Ito po yung dahilan kung bakit alam nyo kung paano in-implement ang confidential funds on the ground. Tama po ba?
Tama po.
And after your examination of the documents, as you mentioned earlier, and your coordination with the security officer, you are satisfied that the confidential funds were used in connection with confidential activities.
Yes po, based sa mga documents na sinabit niya sa akin.
During the examination in chief of the prosecution, you also testified that the security officer did not sign the physical and financial plan, the accomplishment report, the liquidation report, and the certifications, despite the inputs and guidance provided. Pero tama po ba na wala sa joint circular nagbabawal from getting inputs and guidance from a security officer in preparation of the physical and financial plan?
Sa pagkaintindi ko po, wala pong pagbabawal doon.
From the security officer na walang bawal sa joint circular kumuha ng input o guidance from a security officer in preparation of the liquidation report.
Tama po.
Ganon din po sa certification. Wala pong pagbabawal na kumuha ng inputs and guidance from a security officer. Tama po?
Tama po.
Wala rin pong nakalagay sa joint circular na kailangan nakapirma ang security officer. Tama po?
Tama po.
The forms provided by the joint circular is that these documents must be signed by an accountable officer. Tama po?
Ano po yun na document?
Yung pong physical and financial plan, accomplishment report, liquidation report, and certification, ang nire-require po ng JC ng joint circular ay dapat nakalagda dito ang isang accountable officer. Tama po?
Tama po.
At kayo po yun. Kayo po ay accountable officer. Tama po?
Tama po.
Okay. You were also asked about acknowledgement receipts. You examined the acknowledgement receipts, correct?
Yes po.
And you tallied the amount.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you checked the purpose for which confidential funds were used in the acknowledgement receipts.
Opo, Your Honor.
Chinek mo rin po ba yung date?
Nadaanan ko po yun ang mga date, Your Honor.
And nakita niyo po na ang confidential funds ay ginamit within the period required.
Opo, Your Honor.
And satisfied po kayo na ito ay ginamit sa confidential expenses. Tama po?
Tama po, Your Honor.
May nabanggit din po kayong accomplishment report during the examination of the prosecution. The joint circular provided a template for the accomplishment report, correct?
Opo.
The joint circular also provided that the accomplishment report must contain the specific detail by object. Correct po?
Opo, Your Honor.
By object, tama po ba na naintindihan nyo to as by category? Tama po?
Ano ibig sabihin po?
Sinabi sa joint circular na by object ang nakalagay dapat sa accomplishment report. Tama po ba na ang pagkakaintindi nyo dito ng by object is by category?
Opo, Your Honor.
Since you prepared the liquidation documents, the Office of the Vice President submitted these documents to the Commission on Audit, correct?
Opo.
So you complied with the joint circular's requirement that the liquidation of confidential funds must be done within 30 days from the close of each quarter. Tama po?
Tama po yun.
Okay. So for quarter 1 po ng 2023, tama po ba na ang OVP nagsubmit ng liquidation documents sa Commission on Audit noong April 13, 2023?
Ano po yung quarter, Your Honors?
May we ask that the witness be confronted with D-I-29-OVP?
That's for the first quarter, Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. The document is a cover letter addressed to Chairman Cordoba, Your Honor.
Assisting counsels may approach.
Do you confirm, ma'am, that there is a stamp received by the Commission on Audit, ICFAO, on April 13, 2023?
Opo, Your Honor.
For quarter 2 of 2023, Ma'am Gina, the OVP submitted the liquidation documents sa Commission on Audit on July 13, 2023. Naalala niyo po ba kung tama ito?
Nag-submit kami, Your Honor, pero di ko ma-confirm.
For the record, Your
kung
Honor.
Wala ko document, Your Honor.
For the record, Your Honor, we would confront the witness with Defense Exhibits D-I-54-OVP. It's a same cover letter, Your Honor.
For the second quarter.
For the second quarter.
Yes, Your Honor. Nag-submit po kami last July 13, 2023.
And nakalagay po dyan na tama po, may stamp received ang COA ICFAO noong July 13, 2023, correct?
Meron po, Your Honor.
Para sa quarter 3 naman po, na liquidation, maalala nyo po ba kung kailan nyo sinubmit? Maalala nyo po ba kung tama ang date na October 26, 2023? Ito, for the record, Your Honor, we would want to confront the witness with D-I-78-OVP, Your Honor, which is the same letter for quarter 3 of 2023.
Yes po, napareceive po sa Commission on Audit Intelligence and Confidential Fund on October 26, 2023.
Do you confirm, Ma'am Gina, that there is a stamp received by the COA ICFAO on October 26, 2023?
Yes, Your Honor, meron.
And you are aware that for quarters 1 to 3, this would be disallowed in a notice of disallowance number 2026-001, correct?
Meron pong disallowance, Your Honor.
Um, may we confront the witness with Defense Exhibits D-I-9, which is the notice of disallowance dated number 2026-001, Your Honor. Tama po, ito po yung disallowance ng quarter 1 to 3 of 2023.
Opo, Your Honor. Ito po.
At ito pong notice of disallowance na to, tama po ba na in-issue ito ng Commission on Audit noong March 31, 2026?
Opo, Your Honor.
At in-issue po ito ng Commission on Audit habang ang Committee on Justice ay nagko-conduct ng mini trial against the Vice President, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. What's the relevance? Not touched upon, meaning the use of the term mini trial. That's one. Number two, not touched upon during direct examination. The rules are more restrictive when it comes to cross-examination of an adverse witness. Exhibit A is the line of question of the defense.
Kindly reform, counsel. I will not sustain the objection. Neither will I overrule it. Just kindly reform, counsel, so that we can proceed.
We will reform, Your Honor. This notice of disallowance was issued by the Commission on Audit while the Committee on Justice is conducting its hearing for impeachment. Correct?
Di ko maalala, Your Honor.
Pero na-receive niyo po itong notice of disallowance noong April 8, 2026. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. May signature po ako dito na na-receive ko po April 8, 2026.
So, na-receive niyo po yung notice of disallowance number 2026-001 on April 8, 2026 kahit na-submit nyo na yung liquidation noong 2023 pa lamang, tama?
Yes, Your Honor.
At habang this is in the middle of the Committee on Justice hearings, correct?
Di kasi ako nakikinig sa TV at saka sa radio, Your Honor, kung mga about balita-balita, Your Honor. Kaya dili ko makasagot.
Ma'am Gina, kaya po ba paulit-ulit ang sagot nyo kanina? Kasi paulit-ulit lang rin po yung tanong sa inyo.
Objection, that's vague.
I withdraw, Your Honor.
Withdraw. Vague. Nice try. Vague.
I withdraw the question, Your Honor.
You should.
So withdrawn.
Nice try.
Ito nagdagurta na. Asar talo.
No further,
Oh, no further.
no further questions.
All right. Up to you. Up to you. Redirect with the court's permission, Your Honor, please.
With emphasis on a few, counsel.
Yes.
You may proceed, counsel.
Madam Witness, kanina, nung nakarang araw, while yung prosecution that is presenting you as an hostile or as we are accustomed to, hostile witness, sinabi nyo, in several instances, hindi mo masagot yung mga katanungan nangyari 2022 and prior to that. Kasi sabi mo, hindi mo na maalala. You remember having said that, hindi po ba?
Yung mga tanong mo po, Your Honor, na sinabi mo yung
Sa Davao.
sa Davao na 460.
Yes.
Di ko maalala yun, Your Honor.
Hindi mo maalala.
Opo.
Pero ma'am, kanina dire-diretso yung defense, tinatanong ka, nakatanggap ba ng audit observation memorandum? Natanggap ba ng notice of disallowance during your stint sa Davao City? Diretso, sabi mo, wala. Biglang
No
naalala
question,
nyo.
Your Honor.
Wait. I'm testing the
Kindly
credibility
allow
of this.
counsel to finish.
Now, bigla mong naalala, 2019, 2018 to 2022. Alam niyo po ba yung tinatawag nating selective memory, ma'am? Do you know that? Yes or
Objection,
no?
Your Honor.
Folks?
Argumentative.
Your Honor, I'm confronting this witness with the fact that everybody heard When I was asking questions, sabi niya, conveniently hindi ko maalala. But when propounded with similar line of questioning as to events that happened in Davao City when she was an SDO, she said, yes, I can remember, diretsahan yung sagot. That's why I'm asking, that question is basis. Alam niyo po ba, anong ibig sabihin?
Alalaw.
Ng selective memory.
If the witness knows,
ang sinabi, ang ibig sabihin po kanina, Your Honor, ang amount po na sinabi nyo na yun po ba, yan ba ang halaga ng confidential funds ng Davao City? Yun po, nag-concentrate ako, ang intindi ko, ang pagsabot ko, Your Honor, is yung the amount po. Hindi ko po maalala kung yun ba talaga, Your Honor.
That's your answer, ma'am. Ma'am, let's proceed po. Let's proceed, ma'am.
that's the witness's answer.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer. You know, ako, for 2 days, medyo nahihirapan sa mga tanong ko kasi sabi mo, hindi ka nakakaintindi masyado ng Tagalog. Naalala niyo po ba yung mga episodes na yan during the last hearing and this morning? Yes or no? Alala mo?
Ano yun, sir?
Yung mga hindi mo maintindihan, yung mga tanong ko na tinatagalog ko, di ba naalala mo, nasabi mo hindi ko maintindihan. That's why we had to go through the trouble of trying to interpret, translate into Bisaya, Tagalog, and English. Alala po ba yan yung mga pangyayari yan sa loob ng courtroom, di po ba?
Yes,
or no?
naalala ko, Your Honor,
Yes.
yung mga Tagalog na lalom, na deeper,
Yes,
dili kay
deeper.
ko ka sabot, Your
Yes,
Honor.
hindi ko maintindihan yung sabot now. But when it was the defense asking you, rapid, rapido.
What's the question, Your Honor?
Wait, not yet. Hold your horses.
Counsel is testifying, Your Honor.
Relax. Hindi pa tapos. I'm just laying the premise. Relax. Mabilis.
No question, Your Honor.
Wait. Mabilis, Tagalog, all of a sudden, nasasagot mo, walang translation, nasasagot mo ng diretso.
Your Honor,
Explain.
nangutanan man ko, nag-ask ko saya, Your Honor, kay dili ko, ang question niya, na mga question niya, Your Honor, nga nagpa-repeat ko, kay dili kayo ko kasabot, dili kayo ko ka-understand, Your Honor.
Alright.
Nangutan ako kay attorney, nagpa-repeat ko po ng question sa kay attorney kung ano po yon, kay hindi ko talaga na maintindihan or
Yes,
makuha ang iyang pangutana, Your
Your Honor, I
Honor.
will not belabor the point. The records are crystal clear.
Move
I
to
will
strike.
move on. Oh, what? I move on to the next question.
Move to strike, Your Honor. It's counsel is testifying.
Your Honor, that's a manifestation and
motion denied, counsel. I mean,
yeah. You should do your own
let it stay
mistakes
the
you make. Okay na. Madam Witness, sinabi mo kanina, si Colonel Lachica naman yung may access to security information. Kaya siya yung may alam sa confidential activities. Tsaka, naalala mo sinabi mo yan kanina, di po ba?
Oo.
Now,
Opo.
and then, kinonfront kayo ng counsel for the defense, wala naman daw sa joint circular na yung trabaho ng special dispersing officer ay dapat alam yung mga confidential activities. Yun yung sagot nyo, di po ba?
Nalibog. I
Confused ka. Ayan, yun na yun, ma'am eh. Naku-confuse po kayo kung ako yung nagtatanong.
Usapon niyo. Repeat,
I'm
Your
just
Honor.
repeating this series of questions that were propounded to you by the defense. Uulitin ko. I will indulge. Ma'am, sinabi nyo kanina, si Colonel Lachica yung nag-i-implement ng confidential activities kasi siya yung may access to security information. Yun, napakaklaro niyan, ma'am, ha?
Opo.
Naaalala niyo po ba yan?
Opo, Your
Now,
Honor.
sinabi nyo rin, kinonfirm nyo yung observation ng Defense Council na on the other hand, yung Special Disbursing Officer naman, wala naman nakasulat dyan na may alam about confidential activities. Naaalala nyo po ba yan? Yung sagot nyo?
Yes, naalala ko.
Okay.
Sagot ko sa kay attorney.
Ano yung pangalan ng attorney, ma'am, if you know?
Attorney Lyndon.
Ma'am, kailan nyo nakausap si Attorney Lyndon before this
Attorney
testimony?
Lyndon.
Not
Ma'am,
part of the
It is.
cross,
It is.
Your Honor.
It is. Ma'am, kailan nyo last
Counsel
nakausap?
may impeach the witness. She has been declared a hostile witness.
Ma'am, look at me, ma'am. Tingin ka sa akin.
Sir.
Ma'am, you are under oath.
Opo.
Yes, ma'am. Kailan mo last nakausap si Attorney Lyndon?
Last week. Last week pa.
Last week or last week?
Last week. Kasi last week, umuwi ako ng Davao to visit my husband.
And then, so doon mo nakita sa Attorney Lyndon?
No.
Last week?
Last week pa.
Ano
Before I
pag-usapan niyo,
go.
ma'am? Very interesting. Ano pag-usapan niyo?
Natanong ko lang sa kanya kung what is the proceedings kung sa Senate hearing.
Ano sinabi ni Attorney Lyndon?
Ganito, tatanungin po kayo, ma'am. Tapos,
Oo.
bla bla bla.
And then, sinasabi niya ano yung mga tanong itatanong sa'yo, di po ba?
Wala siyang sinasabi, Your Honor.
Okay, anyways, now, let's go back. Sinasabi mo, security officer may access to security information. Now, if the tech is ready, can we show 3.27? 3.27 ng joint circular. But this is rather brief. I will read for everyone's consumption. Security officer refers to a personnel who by reason of his duty or employment has been officially designated as such to have access to security information. Tanong, nasa 3.27 ba, yung nabanggit kong provision, yung terminong confidential activities, yes or no? Wala. Ma'am, wala, di ba? Yes or no?
Confidential.
Wala po ba? Security information. Ma'am, I will confront you with a document. Please, Attorney Mark.
Asa siya? Yes, ma'am.
Wala dyan, di po ba?
Wala po dito.
Now, pero on the other hand, 3.29, this time the definition of a special disbursing officer, nakasulat dyan, refers to head of agency or a regular employee designated by the head of agency to be in charge of making disbursements of CF. Anong ibig sabihin ng CF?
Sa akong, in my own understanding, Your Honor,
Confidential.
it means confidential funds.
Agree? Sa dalawang provision na yan, napakaklaro, trabaho mo as a special disbursing officer yung pag-disburse ng confidential funds. Wala sa security officer's definition ni isa. Wala dyan nakasulat na trabaho niya. Confidential activities. Pag-disburse ng confidential activities, tama po ba?
Ako po ang nag-disburse, Your Honor. Dili po siya ang nag-disburse. Siya lang po ang nag-implement, Your Honor.
Yes, that's your answer. Now, ma'am, sinabi mo kanina na as SDO, hindi naman required na may background in confidential activities. Hindi po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Sinabi din na walang necessary training into confidential activities. Hindi po ba?
Ano yun?
Walang training in confidential activities na requirement for confidential, I mean, as an SDO, walang requirement na training in confidential activities.
Wala po nakabutang dito, Your
I'm
Honor.
just curious ba, ma'am, ano po ba yung natapos niyo, ma'am? Ano yung college degree niyo?
College graduate po, Your Honor.
College graduate, anong kurso niyo?
Customs Administration, Your Honor.
Ma'am, saan kayo nag-aral?
Sa Davao po.
Anong school?
Maths College of Technology.
Customs Administration.
Opo, Your Honor.
Did you take a licensure exam?
Wala, Your Honor.
Okay, now. Ma'am, sinabi niyo na wala kayong background sa confidential activities. Hindi po ba?
Confidential operation po, Your Honor.
Confidential operations. Yung tanong is, ba't kaya kayo yung, kung alam mo lang ha, since wala kayong alam, yun yung pinapakita nyo sa mundo na wala kayong alam. Ba't ka naging SDO kung alam mo? Hindi mo rin alam.
Misleading, argumentative, Your
Honor,
Honor.
that's basis.
Complete the question, Counsel, if I may.
Yes.
Kung wala kayong training sa confidential activities, bakit po kayong napili bilang SDO para panghawakan ng confidential fund? Hindi lamang ng OVP, pati ng sa Davao po nun.
Hindi ko alam po, Your Honor, kung bakit ako po ang kinuha ng Vice Presidente as SDO.
Sa
Okay.
OVP at sa City of Davao. Opo, tama.
Sa dalawa po, Your Honor.
I will ask this question, Your Honor, and there's basis. Hindi po ba naging SDO ka? Because you follow orders blindly.
Ano blind?
Objection, Your Honor.
There's basis to
Argumentative.
that, Your Honor. There's basis to the question.
It's argumentative, Your Honor.
Naging
Reform
SDO ka,
Reform Council, it is
naging SDO
argumentative.
ka kasi sinusunod mo lang lahat ng utos sa'yo. For example, ng Vice President.
Same objection, Your Honor.
I reform.
We'll allow it, Counsel. We'll allow it, Counsel. Kindly answer, sa pananaw niyo po ba yan ang dahilan kung bakit kayo ang hinirang ng SDO nung Davao at ng OVP?
Hindi ko alam, Your Honor.
Hindi mo rin alam.
Hindi mo masabi na dahil sinusunod mo lahat ng inuutos sa'yo?
Hindi ko alam, Your Honor. Basta ako, ginagawa ko lang, Your Honor, ang akong pagiging SDO, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, let me continue, Your Honor, please.
Please proceed.
Madam Witness, sinabi mo kanina, yung pagre-report ko naman, that was in coordination with the security officer. In coming up with the report in coordination with the security officer. Di ba naalala mo yung tanong tsaka sagot na yan kanina during cross-examination by the defense? Alala niyo po ba?
Opo.
Ba't hindi po ba sinabi niyo rin, ako yung nagtatanong, when I was asking you, sinabi naman ni Colonel Lachica na wag nang magtanong kasi nga, paano ini-implement kasi confidential yung mga ginagawa niya. Di ba nasabi niyo yan? When I was asking you questions,
Gi-verify ko po, Your Honor.
okay, we will go into that. Do you want me to repeat the question? Kanina sinabi mo, you came up with the report in coordination with the security officer. You said yes. But when I was asking you questions, sinabi mo, may mga sinabi si Colonel Lachica na wag mo nang tatanungin yan kasi that is confidential. That's part of confidential activities. Naalala mo sagot na yan, di ba?
Opo.
Opo. So therefore, you tried verifying kay Colonel Lachica. Sasabihin niya, Ma'am Gina, huwag mong itatanong yan kasi nga confidential. Pero, you still submitted certifications na tama yung pinagdamitan ni Colonel Lachica ng confidential activities.
Based
As an
po
answer,
sa...
Your Honor.
I mean,
Just answer.
the witness.
Kindly answer the question, Ma'am Gina. Based sa?
Nag-base ko din po yun sa mga documents, Your Honor, na binigay sa akin ni Colonel Lachica after po, matapos po ang pag-implement ng confidential funds,
Diba?
Your Honor.
Mga documents na sinabi nyo rin kanina, klarong-klaro, crystal clear, na wala kayong personal knowledge or personal na nalalaman. Hindi po ba?
As an answer, Your
Your
Honor.
Honor, this is another topic.
On redirect, no? Witness may answer.
Ano po, sir?
Wala po kayong personal knowledge dun sa mga intelligence, confidential activities na ginawa ni Lachica. Binasa nyo lang sa dokumentong binigay niya.
Yes, Your Honor. O pag-verify na ako sa iya, ibig sabihin mag-verify yung pagpangutanan na ako sa iya, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let me continue. Now, sinabi nyo kanina na wala namang requirement, na may alam sa confidential activities, walang training. Pero hindi po ba, ma'am, na requirement sa SDO yung pagkakaroon ng common sense?
Anong ibig sabihin, Your Honor?
Oy, napakaklaro ng tanong ko. Ma'am, I will repeat the question. Sinabi nyo, wala namang requirement na may alam sa confidential activities, walang special training sa confidential activities. Pero hindi po ba, bilang SDO, at least naman lang ma'am, required na yung SDO na pinipili ng isang Vice President ay may common sense.
May utak po ako, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, kanina, sinabi din ng Defense Council na yung certification that you identified apat, may format naman. May format naman yung joint circular, hindi po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
And then, sinabi ng Defense, hindi kayo allow to modify yung content ng format na iyan. Hindi po ba?
Objection, Your Honor.
I remember you saying that.
What's the objection, Council?
Your Honor, the question is misleading because the question is pertaining to the certification, the template of the certification, Your Honor.
Exactly. If I may respond through the presiding officer.
I remember that too. You mentioned it pertaining to the certification that it cannot be modified in any way. And you referred to Annex B, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Honor.
Witness man, sir.
Nawala po daw.
So sinabi kanina na since may format yung certification, hindi po pwedeng i-modify ng Office of the Vice President yung format na yan. Hindi po ba?
Opo.
Opo. Pero ma'am, hindi po ba required, at least naman lang ma'am, common sense naman lang, na kung sa tingin mo, hindi tama yung nakasulat sa certification, hindi mo pipirmahan. Common sense po ba yan, di ba?
Your Honor, we object to the question because the prosecution is already badgering the
No,
witness,
I'm
Your
not
Honor.
badgering.
It's a demeaning
Overruled,
question,
Counsel.
Your Honor.
That's not
Overruled,
badgering.
Counsel. Witness may answer. Ma'am Gina, dahil hindi nyo pwedeng baguhin, hindi naman nangangahulugan na pag hindi totoo yung nakalagay doon, hindi nyo pipirmahan. Pinirmahan nyo yan dahil sa paniniwala nyo, totoo yung nakalagay doon. Sa certification pa.
Yes, totoo, Your Honor. Kaya meron naman po ako mga documents nga gikan, galing kay Colonel Lachika na security officer after po na-implement niya ang confidential operations, Your Honor. Kaya nagpirma ko, Your Honor, mo to akong isa sa gibasihan o basis, Your Honor.
Your Honor, since it has been raised again, I will ask this question again. Pero paano mo nalaman na na-implement yung ng tama through the document? Sinabi mo na eh. Wala kang personal na alam eh.
As in answered, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it was raised again. That's why I have to repeat that.
Witness may answer.
Continuing objection on these lines of questioning,
The
Your Honor.
continuing objection of counsel with respect to this line of questioning is duly noted. Witness may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Pakisagot po.
Ay, gipirmahan ko, I signed the certification, Your Honor, na tama po yun. Kasi meron akong gibasihan, meron akong basis na galing po sa security officer na si Colonel Lachika, na binigay niya sa akin, Your Honor, after po matapos ang pag-implement ng confidential activities, Your Honor.
Let me proceed, Your Honor.
Proceed, counsel.
Now, iba pa nga yung pagpipirma eh, ma'am. Common sense will tell us we will not raise our hand under oath before a notary public kung hindi totoo yung nakasulat sa certification na pinirmahan mo. Agree po ba?
Totoo po yun, Your
Totoo po.
Honor.
Okay, now, hindi po ba, ma'am, na yung certification, yung example, January 10, 2024, hindi nga lang permado ng isang Gina F. Acosta, ito rin ay notarized ng isang notary public. Sinasabi dito, subscribed and sworn to before me, it is January 16. So sinasabi niyo po ba pinirmahan nyo on one hand. On the other hand, humarap kayo sa isang notary public, pinirmahan nyo yung certification na yan, kasi yun naman yung format na binibigyan ng JUN circular. Is that what you're telling the public, ma'am?
Argumentative and misleading, Your Honor.
There's basis to that question, Your Honor.
Sustain, counsel. It's misleading.
Okay, now, I will move on, Your Honor. Sinasabi mo na ikaw ay isang accountable officer, hindi po ba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Now, within the four corners of the joint circular, si Colonel Lachica ba, as a security officer, isang accountable officer?
Argumentative, Your Honor, and ask
Witness
and
will
answer.
answer. Witness will answer. It's a valid point.
Dili siya accountable, Your Honor, pero siya ang gihatagan o gihatagan siya ni Vice President Sara Duterte as security officer, Your Honor, na siya ang mag-implement sa mga confidential activities sa grounds, Your Honor. Pero ako paghihapon ang accountable officer, Your Honor.
Alright.
On this point, counsel, ma'am, may dokumento po ba kayo na nagpapakita na in-appoint ni Vice President Duterte si Colonel Lachica bilang security officer at na siya ang mag-implement ng confidential fund? O verbal lang po yun?
Meron pong black and white papel po, Your Honor.
May
na-
office order po?
Yes, office, Your Honor. Tama po, Your Honor.
May
Sorry
kopya
po.
po ba kayo nun?
Wala akong kopya, Honor, pero sa office meron.
Okay.
Okay,
Counsel?
let me proceed. So, between you and Colonel Lachica, ma'am, ikaw yung bonded. Ikaw yung may fidelity bond. Si Colonel Lachica, wala. Di po ba?
Opo, Your
And
Honor.
then sa mga dokumentong sinubitin nyo sa COA, ikaw yung nakikitang nag-disperse ng confidential funds. Hindi po ba?
I-disburse ko po sa security officer na si Colonel Lachica, Your Honor.
Let me guess, kasi siya yung appointed as security officer ng opisina nyo. Hindi po ba?
Siya po ang i-appoint, Your
Ma'am, I
Honor.
memorize your answer na. Now,
Move to strike, Your Honor. Impertinent.
that's a manifestation, Your Honor. The council can make a counter manifestation.
Leave it. Let it be on the record.
Now, Colonel Lachica is not bonded.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Okay. Hindi po ba, or better yet, alam niyo po ba, Miss Gina Acosta, na ikaw yung maaring makulong kapag napatunayan sa isang criminal court yung crime, for example, ng plunder. Alam niyo yung gravity ng isang kaso for plunder?
Asked and answered, Your Honor, and the prosecution is budgeting the
There's
witness,
no
Your Honor.
Your Honor, I am testing the credibility of this witness.
Overruled, counsel. Overruled, counsel. If the witness knows, she's not a lawyer and her background is customs administration, if she knows, alam niyo po ba yung sagot sa tanong ng abogado, Ms. Gina?
Di ko alam ang
Okay, hindi mo
ibig
alam.
sabihin yun, Your Honor.
Hindi nyo alam, ma'am, na between you and Colonel Lachica, kasi Colonel Lachica ay wala namang track, walang trace sa mga dokumento, ikaw yung po pwedeng makulong for misappropriation of confidential funds, hindi si Colonel Lachica. That question is so simple. Alam nyo po ba yan?
Speculative, Your Honor.
Okay, can I explain? That's not speculative, Your Honor. That's not an if and when question. There's basis for that.
Witness will answer. If she knows.
Yes, based sa GC po, ang accountable officer po ay ang SDO. Kaya po, ako ang accountable officer, kaya I see to it na merong documents po na maibigay si Colonel Lachica after po matapos po ang pag-implement ng confidential activities, Your Honor. Kasi ako po ang magagawa ng liquidation kasi ako man po ang accountable officer, Your Honor.
Okay, a few more questions, Your Honor, please.
Proceed
Now, Madam, paulit-ulit sinasabi nyo yung certification nyo, liquidation report, base yan sa dokumento tsaka inputs, information galing mismo sa isang tao, galing sa isang tao lang, si Colonel La Chica, hindi po. Ng letter C ng 6.3 ng joint circular. Okay, do we have that? Please show that. While it is being shown, babasahin ko for the public to understand. Trabaho ng isang opisina, head of agency, no? To institute and maintain sound and effective internal control measures to discourage and prevent irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant, and unconscionable expenditures, as well as promote prudence in the use of government resources. Trabaho po ng isang ahensya like the Office of the Vice President, Head of Agency, na magkaroon ng internal control upang mapigilan yung irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant. Now, ito yung tanong now. Yung proseso nyo, binibigay mo kay Colonel La Chica yung 125 million pesos. Colonel La Chica yung nagsasabi ano yung activities. Nagsasubmit siya ng mga dokumento na inamin nyo, wala kayong personal knowledge. Hindi nyo alam kung totoo ba. Now, nagpapakita ba yan ng require na internal control sa loob ng Office of the Vice President? Yes or no?
Argumentative, Your Honor.
This basis to the question, Your Honor.
If that's your last question, Counsel, I'll allow it, but actually it is argumentative.
Another one, Your Honor. Another one.
Proceed to your last question, Counsel.
Now, eto now.
Ito na ho.
Yung tinatanong
Ito
sa iyo,
Ito na ho.
sinasabi mo, bine-verify ko naman yung mga inputs, yung mga information, yung mga dokumento galing kay Colonel La Chica. Naalala niyo po ba yan?
Yes, i-verify ko
Now,
kay security officer, Your Honor.
In verifying information handed to you, delivered to you, documents delivered to you by Colonel La Chica, ma'am, hindi po ba kalukuhan na yung bine-verify nyo, yung tao mismo nagbigay ng information?
Argumentative, Your Honor.
Counsel, Reform Counsel, you know what I'm referring to.
That's all for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Ligudan. Rick Ross, if any?
Just a few questions, Your Honor. Ma'am, nag-testify po kayo sa Committee on Good Governance and Public Accountability noong November 25, 2024. Naalala niyo po ba 'yon?
Opo, nag-adto ko dito. I was there.
At naalala niyo rin po ba na sinabi niyo sa komite kung pwede kang magsalita ng Bisaya? Alala niyo po ba?
Naalala ko, Your Honor, na nakasulti pa gani ko na sorry po, nagbinisaya ko. Sorry po na nasagulan ako og Bisaya.
At tama rin po ba na sinabi ng chairperson sa inyo ng komite na kahit may request kayo na magbisaya, still try your best to speak in English or Filipino. Tama po ba?
Yes, nag-ingon po ko, nagsagot ko sa iya, I answer na, yes ma'am, I will try my best.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Earlier, several senator judges registered their intention to make some interjections. Ma'am Gina, yung mga senator judge naman po magtatanong sa inyo. First to register is Senator Pangilinan. You may proceed, sir, when you're ready, and you have 2 minutes. The sequence so far would be in this order. After Senator Pangilinan, Senator Erwin Tulfo, Senator Rafi, the Senate President, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lacson, and Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. President. Magandang hapon, Ginang G na Acosta. Sabi nyo kanina na kayo ang disbursing officer at yung paglipat nyo ng pondo kay La Chica ay na-disburse ninyo ang pondo. Tama?
Na-disburse ko po kay Colonel La
Yes.
Chica, Your Honor.
Pag na-disburse ba ang pondo, ibig sabihin, hindi na ito pondo ng gobyerno? Halimbawa, bumili kayo ng supplies. Na-disburse yung supplies, na-disburse yung pondo, binayaran yung supplies. Pag nabayaran na yung supplies, hindi na yun pondo ng gobyerno, tama? Pag nabayaran na yung supplies, hindi na pondo ng gobyerno, tama?
Pero ang supplies po, Your Honor, is property na po ng gobyerno.
Hindi, yung pondo ang pinag-uusapan. Pag nabayaran na yung supplies, yung pondo na nailipat, yun yung disbursement, tama? Ibig sabihin, yung paglipat ng pondo kay La Chica, disbursement ba yun? O yung paglipat ng pondo mula kay La Chica sa supplies o medicines, yun yung disbursement?
Ang ibig sabihin ko po, yung pag-disburse ko ng pera kay La Chica po, yun po ang disbursement ko, Your Honor.
Okay, so pag-disburse, ibig sabihin hindi na wala ka nang tungkulin dun sa 125 million na nilipat kasi na-disburse mo na.
May tungkulin pa ako, Your Honor, kasi si La Chica po ay siya lang po ang itinalaga na security officer, Your Honor,
So,
na siya ang mag-implement po, Your Honor, ng mga proyekto o activities po ng confidential, Your Honor, on the ground kasi siya po ang may eksperto, Your Honor.
yes, siya ang eksperto pero meron pa rin kayong tungkulin na tiyakin na tama yung disbursement. Tama? Yes.
Meron pa rin akong
Yes,
tungkulin,
yes.
Your Honor, kasi ako man ang accountable officer, Your Honor.
Exactly. So, nung nilipat nyo kay La Chica, sabi nyo wala kayong alam doon sa pag-confidential fund expenses. Hindi ba? Sabi nyo. Kasi po, various confidential operations, siya po ang eksperto. Kasi po, may alam, siya po ang may alam. Your Honor, confidential po yun, Your Honor. Wala akong alam. So, paano nyo babantayan yung disbursement kung wala kayong alam dun sa paggastos ng confidential funds? Pag sinabi nyo wala kayong alam, paano mo matitiyak na yung sinabit sa yung affidavit dahil wala kayong alam, malalaman nyo na tama ang gastos?
Nagsubmit po siya sa akin ng nagsubmit po siya sa akin ng utilization report, Your Honor. At naniwala din ako kay La Chica, Your Honor, kasi siya po ang itinalaga ni Vice President Sara Duterte, Your Honor, as security officer. At siya po ang aming commanding officer ng BPSPG.
So, okay, so naniwala kayo. Pero kung nakuha yung pondo at diniposito sa bangko, personal account, hindi nyo alam yon, di po ba?
Hindi ko nakita, Your Honor.
Okay, nga. So hindi nyo alam kung inilipat sa private account.
Hindi ko alam, hindi ko nakita,
Hindi nyo
Your
rin alam
Honor.
kung talagang tinanggap ni Mary Grace Piatos yung pondo personal. Hindi nyo rin alam.
Wala ako sa ground, Your
Okay,
Honor.
hindi nyo rin alam kung nilipat yung pondo at ipinamudmod sa kung sino-sino. Tama?
Wala pa ako sa ground, Your Honor.
Okay, wrapping up, Mr. President.
Kindly wind up.
Yes. Yung nabanggit na 122 million para sa medicines at 112 million para sa supplies. Alam niyo yun, di ba?
Alam ko may purchase na ganyan, pero di ko makakabisado, Your Honor, ang amount, Your Honor. Di ko kahinumdum kung pila tanan, Your Honor.
So,
Kung how much, Your Honor, lahat.
hindi mo alam kung magkano dun sa 122 million ang binayad sa gamot, pang tree planting. Hindi nyo rin alam kung magkano ang binayad na supplies para sa lakbay-aral dun sa confidential funds. Hindi nyo alam yung specific.
Meron pong binigay sa akin si Security Officer, Your Honor, yung fund utilization report, Your Honor, at saka yung
So, magkano ang
acknowledgement receipt,
medicines?
Your Honor.
Magkano ang medicines na napunta sa lakbay-aral?
Hindi ko kabisado ang amount, Your Honor.
Magkano ang medicines na napunta sa tree planting?
Hindi ko na maalala, Your Honor, magkano sa dami-dami po ng acknowledgement receipt, Your Honor, na binigay at saka po yun sa fund utilization of Your Honor na 4 po yun.
So, kung hindi nyo alam kung ito'y na-deposito sa bank account, hindi nyo rin alam kung dokumento lang, maaaring peke, hindi nyo rin alam kung talagang napunta sa tree planting o napunta sa lakbay-aral.
Nagtiwala po ako sa security officer, Your Honor, kasi siya po ang gi-appoint ni Vice President, Your Honor, na siya po ang mag-implement ng confidential activities, Your Honor, on the ground. Kaya siya po ang eksperto, Your Honor.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you,
for now.
Senator Judge Pangilinan. Senator Judge Erwin Tulfo, you may proceed when you're ready, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Sartalo na naman to.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Ms. Gina Acosta. Bago po kayo naging SDO ni VP Sara, ano po ang trabaho niyo?
Ano po, sa office po, ng Office of the Vice President, Vice Presidential Officer 6 po ako, Your Honor.
No, nung mayor po siya, anong trabaho niyo? Empleyado na ba kayo ng gobyerno? Paano kayo nagkakilala ng Vice President?
Empleyado na po ako ng gobyerno, Your Honor, doon po sa Sangguniang Panglungsod, Your Honor.
Anong trabaho niyo po sa Sangguniang Panglungsod?
First po is stenographic reporter, Your Honor. And then po, nagiging supply officer po, Your Honor.
Anong year po kayo nagkakilala ng Vice President?
Nakilala ko siya, Your Honor, yung nagiging Vice Mayor po siya sa Sangguniang Panglungsod, Your Honor.
Tapos, kinuha ka na niya sa kanyang opisina? Ganun po ba?
Wala po, Your Honor. Nakilala ko lang siya bilang siya po ang Vice Mayor ng Davao City, Your Honor, sa Sangguniang Panglungsod, ang iyang opisina. Tapos ako doon din nag-opisina sa Sangguniang Panglungsod, Your Honor, sa admin office po.
Kailan po kayo kinuhang SDO sa Office of the Mayor?
Yung mayor na po siya, siya na po ang mayor ng Davao City, Your Honor.
Alright. Alam niyo po yung mga pangalang Mary Grace Piatos, Chippy McDonald, Pusa, Pagong, Ngit-Ngit, Belat, na hindi po totoo mga tao ito, na mga totoong pangalan. Alam niyo po yun?
Na-encounter ko po yun.
Hindi, tanong ko po, alam niyo na hindi po totoo, Chippy McDonald din yun, I'm sure.
Nag-rely po ako sa...
Hindi po. Common sense lang po. Pusa, Pagong. May apelyido bang Pusa, Pagong sa Davao?
Wala po akong narinig na ganyan, Your Honor.
Pero alam mo na ito po, hindi totoo mga pangalan.
Totoong tao po sila.
Totoo pa, pero hindi totoong pangalan.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Okay. Kung hindi po totoo mga pangalan, bakit wala kayong record na itong mga pangalan ng mga tao na tumanggap na CIF? Bakit di po ninyo ni-remind si Colonel La Chica o maging si OVP na, Sir, Ma'am, kailangan po natin ng totoong pangalan na recipient ng CIF dahil baka hindi na kailangan ng COA, nasa Joint Memorandum Circular po yan. You should know that.
Sa nabasa ko po sa GC, Your Honor, hindi naman po sinasabi doon na kailangan po ang pangalan ng recipient po, Your Honor.
So, sa pagkaintindi mo, hindi kailangan. Hindi mo nilalagay. Ano po yung nilalagay sa safes ng mga dokumento?
Anong mga nilalagay?
Anong nilalaman? Di ba pinapabili po kayo ng safe, di po ba? At bumili kayo ng safe. Tama po?
Meron po kaming safe, Your Honor.
Okay, anong nilalagay sa safe? Nakalagay po sa Joint Memorandum Circular po yun.
Meron po, ang nilalagay po doon yung mga documents po.
Anong documents po yun?
Yung CDR po.
Okay. Alam niyo na si Colonel La Chica ay hindi po maaaring mag-disburse dahil wala siya fidelity bond. Pero dahil utos po sa ni VP Sara, sumunod ka lang. Tama po. Instruction po yun.
Siya po ang
Kaya nga po.
designate ni Ma'am VP Sara na security
kaya
officer, Your Honor.
Kaya nga po. Pero alam niyo na wala po siyang fidelity bond. And yet, dahil utos po ni VP, disburse po sa kanya. Tama po.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, tanggap mo rin po ang rason ni Colonel Lachiga na huwag ka na magtanong kasi confidential fund yan. Hindi ka pwede magtanong. Despite the fact na ikaw ang disbursing officer at baka sumabit ka. So, hindi mo na tinanong, ano ba talaga ito, Colonel? At delikado ito, baka sumabit ako. Tama na ba yung sagot niya? Huwag ka na magtanong, tumahimik ka na lang dyan dahil confidential fund yan. Ikaw ang disbursing officer.
Meron po siyang binigay sa akin, Your Honor, na fund utilization report po, Your Honor. Aside po sa pag-verify ko sa kanya kung ano, bakit ito ang pangalan, Your Honor. Kasi confidential in nature po yun, Your Honor.
So sa tingin mo, walang mali po sa paggasta ni Colonel Lachiga sa intelligence fund, confidential fund ng Office of the Vice President?
Sa tingin ko po wala kasi nabigyan po niya na ako ng fund utilization report, Your Honor, na binabangga ko po sa object of expenditures na binigyan niya sa akin. Nagtugma po ang mga amount, Your Honor, at saka yung ano pong expenses ang dapat na-incur niya, nandoon po rin, Your Honor.
One last question, Presiding Officer. So, ibig kong sabihin, from the very start po, pagbibigay ng mga alias, walang totoong pangalan, paggasta ng mga class sa mga tree planting, okay lang yun. Part po yun ng confidential fund. Sa tingin mo?
Basta po, binigyan po
Hindi
ako.
po, kaya nga po, sa tingin mo, yung from the very start, yung mga Merigis Piatos, Bagong Pusa, normal yun. At pagkatapos yung paggasta sa mga tree planting, paggasta sa mga mga pagbili ng mga silya, lamesa, bahagi ng intelligence fund as a disbursing officer.
Marami kasi ang tanong mo,
No, ang
Your
tanong ko
Honor.
nga po, tama ba sa tingin mo yung paggasta ni Colonel Lachiga, pagbili ng mga lamesa, upuan, tree planting, confidential fund, ma'am?
Kasi-
Na bahagi ng confidential yun.
Kasi, Your Honor, sa tree planting po, napasok po doon ang confidential plan po during po sa pag-inspect po ng area po kung saan po mag-tree planting ang mga tao po at ang mga partner organization po. So pag-survey po, yun po, papasok po ang confidential operation, Your Honor.
Pati po pagbili ng lamesa, may confidential din yun. Kailangan under strict confidence sa pagbili ng lamesa at upuan.
Gagamitin po yun sa operation, Your Honor.
Okay. No further questions, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Senator Judge Erwin Tulfo. Senator Judge Rafi Tulfo, you may proceed, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Ma'am, nakapaniud na ka?
Gamay lang, sir.
Kamay lang. Sa manay mo sudan?
Wala ko'y ganang mukhaon.
Wala, okay. Okay, tanong ko na lang. How would you consider yourself? Smart, average, or stupid?
Nasa average lang po ako
Average.
kapag katao, Your Honor.
Correct. Just like millions and millions and millions of Filipinos. Good, normal. Kasi sa isang normal na tao, kapag siya'y binigyan bilang isang SDO tool sa inyo ng listahang pangalan ng mga informants na bilat, pagong at pusa, papalag ka. Ano ba to, Colonel? Mukhang hindi ata tama to, bastusan na to. Di po ba? Para sa normal na tao. Am I right?
Nag-rely po ako sa sinabit po sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor.
Kaya nga po, bilang isang normal na tao, ulitin ko, pag nakakita kayo ng ganung pangalan, bilat, pagong, pusa, etc. Belat. Okay, belat, same. Magugulat ka, di ba?
Magugulat
Sa
po.
Bisaya, yung pronunciation yan eh. Sa Tagalog, pero sa Bisaya, bilat yun eh. Kasi yung I nagiging I eh. Bisaya din kasi ako eh.
With the permission of Senator Judge Tulfo, Chair would like to remind the gallery to kindly maintain silence during these proceedings. You may proceed, sir.
Kasi isa pa po, Madam Witness, meron akong kopya dito na kung saan maraming pangalan ng mga informant at isa lang po ipirma. So if you're a normal or average person, papalag ka na naman. Teka muna, Colonel, bakit ganito? Bastusan na to, lokohan to. Yung iba-ibang mga pangalan pero isa lang po ipirma. Hindi ako nagtaka.
Pinireply ko po yun si Colonel La Chica, Your Honor. At ang sagot naman niya sa akin, Ma'am Gina, those are sensitive information, Ma'am Gina. At saka, confidential in nature po yun.
So naniwala kayo sa sinabi niya na confidential nature kahit na isa lang signature sa napakaraming pangalan.
Kasi
So you
siya
took his
po,
word for it.
kasi siya po ang nag-implement sa mga confidential activities, Your Honor, on the grounds. Siya po ang inatasan na mag-implement. Siya ang implementer po, Your Honor.
So for me, in this case, you are stupid in the name of blind loyalty.
Ano po yun?
Naging stupido kayo sa ngalan ng isang tinatawag na blind loyalty. Nakapikit kung ano yung sinasabi sa iyo ng nakakataas, sinusunod mo na lang. Stupido ka pa rin, pero in the name of blind loyalty. Would you agree?
Hindi ko maintindihan, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay, nung kayo po ay SDO sa Davao, nung mayor si BP Sara noon, hindi kayo nagkaroon ng disallowance, right? Never?
Wala po, Your
So ano
Honor.
pinagkaiba na sa Davao at ngayon sa OVP? Bakit nagkaroon ka ng disallowance ngayon dito sa OVP and DepEd versus nung nasa Davao kayo, wala kayong disallowance? Anong pinagkaiba?
Ang maalala ko lang, Your Honor, sa Davao po, doon po mag-submit po kami ng accomplishment report doon po sa DILG, hindi po sa Office of the Vice President, hindi po sa Office of the President, sa Senate at saka sa HOR, Your Honor.
So nung panahon po sa Davao, meron ba mga pangalan Piatos, meron ba mga pangalan mga Belat, Pagong, Pusa, etc.?
Hindi ko ma-remember, Your Honor. Hindi
All
ko
of a sudden,
maalala.
hindi mo na maalaala. And how long?
maalala yun.
Hindi mo na maalala. And yet 6 years ka naging SDO doon.
Hindi ko maalala, Your Honor. Matagal na po yun, Your Honor. At saka, may edad na rin po ako, Your Honor.
Ayaw na pagkinunto, ma'am. Pati kami ba nagtitunto mo dire?
Mo hindi na ako tinood, Your Honor.
Okay. Salamat po, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Senator Judge Tulfo. The Senate President is recognized for his interjections.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer. Ms. Acosta, narinig ko kanina yung mga sagot ho ninyo. Bilang isang accountable officer, paano nyo masisigurado o paano nyo masisiguro sa taong bayan na yung perang ibinigay nyo kay Colonel La Chica ay hindi nabulsa o hindi nakurap?
Isa po ang proof yan, Your Honor, is we were able to liquidate. Nakagawa po kami ng liquidation, Your Honor, at na-submit po yun sa COA, Your Honor.
Pero kanina narinig ko rin wala kayong personal knowledge at hindi nyo rin nakita yung pagbibigay ng pera. Paano nyo malalaman kung pumunta sa bulsa niya yung pera o hindi?
Your Honor,
Kung wala kayong personal knowledge, wala kayong direktang nandoon,
Your Honor, nagbigay po sa akin ang security officer namin na si Colonel La Chica ng fund utilization
paano
report,
kung
Your
yung
Honor.
utilization report ay peke, dinoktor? Wala kayo doon bilang accountable officer.
May pirma po niya, Your Honor.
Kahit na may perma niya, dapat nandoon kayo bilang accountable officer. Ang trabaho ng accountable officer ay maging accountable sa pera. Bakit buo ang tiwala ninyo kay La Chica na Colonel La Chica na hindi niya ibubulsa yung pera?
Buo po ang tiwala ko kay Colonel La Chica, Your Honor, kasi unang-una, siya po ang designate ni Vice President Sara, Your Honor, na Security Officer of the Office of the Vice President. Siya din po ang aming commanding officer ng Vice Presidential Security Protection Group, Your Honor.
Pero hindi ibig sabihin na siya ang pwedeng mag-disperse. Siya lang ang humahawak ng security information.
Siya din po ang nag-implement, Your Honor, sa mga programa po na under po ng confidential fund kasi siya po ang expert to, Your Honor. Doon sa ground po, Your Honor. Siya po ang may alam, Your Honor.
Kanina narinig ko rin na sinabi nyo, nagtanong kayo, nag-verify kay Colonel La Chica. Hindi nyo ba sinumbong o nagsabi kay VP Sara na baka may problema itong pagbibigay ng pera kay La Chica
dahil ang sagot niya lang sa inyo ay confidential information or security, hindi ba kayo nagsabi kay VP Sara na baka magka-problema ako bilang accountable officer?
Hindi po ako nagsabi kay Ma'am BP Sara, Your Honor, kasi unang-una po, siya po ang nagbigay ng office order po na si Colonel La Chica ay gawin niyang security officer, Your Honor, po of the Vice President Office, Your Honor.
So kahit na mayroong problema, tinanggap nyo at bibigay nyo pa rin yung pera kay La Chica, tinanggap nyo na lang yung sagot niya?
Wala naman po ako na-encounter na problema, Your Honor, kasi nakasubmit po kami ng liquidation, Your Honor, doon sa kuha, Your Honor.
Doon sa 4 na quarters, 4 na beses sinabihan kayo ni VP Sara na ibigay kay Colonel La Chica yung pera?
Once lang po siya nagsabi sa akin, Your Honor.
Yung last quarter of 2022?
Na pag ma-encash ko ang pera, Your Honor.
In 3 quarters, sino nagsabi sa inyong ibigay kay Colonel La Chica?
Once lang po nagsabi sa akin si Vice President Sara, Your Honor, na pag ma-encash ko ang cheque po sa confidential fund, Your Honor, i-release ko po kay Colonel La Chica na siya po ang bibigyan ni Ma'am Sara Duterte na security officer, Your Honor, sa office para siya po ang mag-implement ng various confidential activities, Your Honor.
So isang beses lang sinabi para sa 4 na quarters. Tama?
Opo, Your Honor.
Sino nag-utos sa inyo na i-encash yung 500 million?
Hindi po yun buo 500 million, Your Honor.
Every quarter. Sino nag-utos sa inyo yung 4th quarter of 2022 na i-encash yung 125?
Kasi tumawag po sa akin ang aming cash division, Your Honor, na Ma'am Gina, anda na po ang cheque. At pwede na rin po kayo mag-i-encash po sa bangko.
So siya ang nag-utos? Yung sino yun? Anong pangalan niya?
Hindi po siya nag-utos, Your Honor. Nag-inform lang sa akin, Your Honor.
So sino nag-utos sa'yo mag-encash ng 125? Na pumunta ka sa land bank, encash mo 125?
Kasi paano po ako makabigay kay Colonel La Chica, Your Honor, kung hindi ko po i-encash
Pati
ang...
in-inform kayo may cash, pero sino nag-utos sa inyo i-encash? Iba naman yung may cash, iba yung i-encash, di ba?
Ano po?
Sino ang nag-utos sa inyo na pumunta sa land bank, i-encash yung 125?
Si BP po, Your Honor, para makabigay ko po, mai-release ko po ang pera na yon kay security officer, Your Honor.
Si BP sana nag-instruct sa inyo na pumunta sa land bank, i-encash yung 125.
Panilig mo niya, basil ng 18 niya.
Ang sabi po niya sa akin, Your Honor, pag ma-encash ko ang pera, Your Honor, i-release ko po sa security officer, Your Honor, na...
Siya rin ba nag-utos sa inyo pumunta sa land bank?
Basta, yun po, paano ko po ma-encash, paano ko po maibigay ang pera, Your Honor, kung hindi po ako magpunta sa land bank, Your Honor? Paano ko po ibigay ang cash doon sa security officer, Your Honor, na sinabi ni Ma'am BP na pag ma-encash ko, ibigay ko sa kanya, kung hindi po ako magpunta sa bangko, Your Honor, para ipa-encash ang cheque po.
Ang tanong ko is, sino ang nag-utos sa inyo pumunta sa land bank para mag-encash? Yun, ganun kasimple lang. Sino ang tumawag sa inyo, nagsabi sa inyo, punta ka sa land bank, encash mo yung 125?
Ang pagsabi po sa akin, Your Honor, yung sa cash division namin, ganito po, Your Honor, Ma'am Gina, handa na po ang cheque at pwede na din po kayo magpunta sa bangko.
Na i-encash?
Opo, Your Honor.
Yung sa other quarters, sa first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, sino nag-utos sa inyo mag-encash?
Ganun pa din, Your Honor, ang sabi ng cash division namin, Your Honor, na pag naala ang cheque, pag meron na ang cheque, magtawag sila sa ako, Your Honor, Ma'am Gina, pwede na po makuha ang cheque at pwede na po kayo magpunta sa bangko, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anika, ha? Ikaw, pag si SP,
Tinatapos mo lang naman.
hindi, kanina ko pa nakikita yung kamay niya sa ibabaw, papindot na, biglang ayaw eh. Senator Judge Villanueva is recognized. Apologies to Senator Intiveros. I was informed that there was an earlier indication by Senator Villanueva to be called for his interjections. You may proceed, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Mr. President, before I ask questions, can I ask Mr. President, presiding officer, if Colonel Lachica would be the next witness na sasalang po?
That is the call of the prosecution, and no such manifestation has been made, although I believe, if I recall correctly, the name of Colonel Lachica is listed as one of the intended witnesses to be presented. Do you confirm, Attorney Ligudan?
Listed, but the prosecution has yet to decide if and when we present Colonel Lachica, Your Honor. Please.
That is their call,
Yes.
Senator Judge
I
Villanueva.
understand. Thank you. I hope siya po yung susunod para hindi mas nakaka-confuse. Maganda ho kasing sundan itong witness natin. May I ask now, Mr. Presiding Officer? Ma'am, matagal na po kayong SDO, di ba? Kung kayo ho ay pipili ng SDO, sino ang pipiliin nyo? Yung average na employee, yung tiwala kayo, o yung sobrang tiwala kayo?
Ano po yun? Ako mismo.
Opo. Kunyari kayo po yung magpipili ng SDO ninyo. Ang pipiliin nyo po ba, average employee? O yung tiwala po kayo? O yung sobrang tiwala po kayo? Kasi sa tingin ko, mahalaga ang pagiging isang SDO.
Kung ako, Your Honor, sa ako ang self, ang pilion ako, Your Honor, kato I will choose, Your Honor, yung tao na average po ang kanyang how do you call this? Ang kanyang knowledge, ang kanyang thinking, ang kanyang pagkatao, Your Honor.
So, hindi yung tiwala ka, hindi yung sobrang tiwala ka.
Basta na siya'y knowledge, Your Honor, na siya'y kabalo siya, Your Honor, kung alam niya, Your Honor, kung ano po ang mali, alam po niya, Your Honor, kung ano
Hindi
ang
importanteng tiwala ka, ma'am. Hindi po importante.
partly po, Your Honor.
Nung dinesignate po kayo as SDO, ano po yung sinabing trabaho ninyo? Particular.
Yung dinesignate po ako na magiging
Sa
SDO,
OVP po, opo.
Sa OVP po. Ang trabaho ko po is to hold an amount for the confidential funds and disburse and process also all the necessary documents, Your Honor, in relation for the confidential funds.
Yun po yung sinabi sa inyo. Nung dinalaga kayo, yun po yung sinabi.
Actually, Your Honor, ang sinabi lang po sa akin ng head of agency is, Ma'am Gina, gawin kitang SDO. And kung time, Ma'am Gina, basahon nimo ang GC 2015-01.
So, hindi ka pwede mag-decide how the confidential funds ay gamitin. Yung role mo, limited lang to withdrawing, safeguarding, disbursing, and liquidating funds pursuant to instruction and approval by other officials.
Doon pa ako nakabase, Your Honor, sa aking pagiging SDO, doon po sa GC, Your Honor.
Okay. Maaari po ba ninyong ilahad yung buong proseso bilang SDO? Yung decision to use confidential funds, yung proseso po, approval ng physical financial plan hanggang sa cash advance, hanggang sa withdrawal, hanggang actual disbursement and liquidation. Pwede yung ilahad ninyo from the start?
Hindi po ako nagdesisyon, Your Honor.
Yung proseso po, alam nyo naman po yun eh. Pwede po bang sabihin nyo sa amin ilahad yung proseso?
Okay, Your Honor. Sorry, ang aking lingwahe is merong konting halong Bisaya.
Okay po.
Example, Your Honor, yung 2022, pag nag-request po si BP ng additional funds at kasali na po doon ang confidential funds. So, nagsulat siya, then abot na sa DBM na kasi ang unang sulat ni Ma'am BP is 200